address the one person you're talking about, bro. There's only one person talking.
Yo, what's good, AK?
What's good to the room? Respect to the mind.
Hi, AK.
I mean, like, Dollface, like, I mean, there's probably, like, a couple of options. There's, like, number one is, like, people aren't really engaging in good faith about the content of the Bible, right? Which is probably true given some of the people on this app. The second one is, like maybe, like, you know, you're not being as direct as you think you are with your arguments. And, like, there's always, like, a way to improve that, right? Like, you know, like, you can actually work on having these more structured arguments, and that might help you, like, show that people aren't addressing what you're saying to them, you know?
I feel like, honestly, truly, like, I fuck with where you're coming from, and, like, honestly, truly, there's no way, and, like, honestly, people like Nathan, Tim, Psych, Pockets know this, there's no way that I can come from more where I'm coming from without y'all calling me a bully and me being mean. Like, there's no way where as a Black American woman I can say what I'm saying and y'all don't be like, she's being mean. Oh my gosh, just the pretty girl is being mean to us without, like, being on, like, my square, being like, no, I don't agree with what you're saying.
You being pretty when you said that?
No, the whole point is that, like, it's not personal with all this. It's not personal. People are discussing ideas, right? So, like, you know, when you say something, they're not thinking, like, oh, here's the pretty girl doing X, Y, or Z again, right? They're just trying to discuss the ideas.
You're
not
like
personalities.
But, like, my homegirls are, and I feel like that's very different from, like, you versus me. Like, that's why I even came into the room apologizing to, like, Psych, because I'm like, yo, what I did to you was disrespectful. Like, as a woman, I know that I shouldn't have been rude to you like that, and that's fucked up. Like, I apologize. But I know my bitches like Pockets, like, okay, you lucky if she don't cuss you out on my behalf. What you talking about? You lucky I'm actually cussing you out, because if I don't cuss you out, the girls will come behind me. What you talking about?
Yeah, well, that's just,
so
like,
it's
cool.
like a whole situation being like,
and also too, just like
y'all as men feel like y'all are really banging the Charles and doing what you're doing. There are more men who take up for people like me, and also my girls who don't play that shit. So it's just like, yeah, I'd rather apologize to a nigga who I know, like, takes up for me and it's like on that same type of shit. And I understand, like, how he understands, like, okay, I'm not always on my shit, but, like, I'll be the best person I can be. Like, I want to be the nicest person I can be.
You're better suited for a show like The View than, like, a philosophy circle? This sounds like gossip.
It's not about gossip, it's just, like, focusing the room on Dollface, right? Like, we were talking about a philosophical topic, and now we're talking about Dollface, right? Which is what I was trying to, like, object to. I find people in these rooms try to do that a lot, where they try to center themselves or their feelings, right? And have everyone be discussing, like, you know, what they think or what they feel, as opposed to, like, an actual genuine topic that, like, I'm saying, I agree with it. What I'm doing is I'm trying to rail against it, right? Like, if I say, here's my opinion, that's not asking everyone to focus on me, right? But, like, we were clearly talking about some, like, a philosophical topic.
You brought yourself up.
Now,
what are you doing?
Bring up your own beliefs. Do your own thing.
You brought yourself up. We were talking about, like,
What
subjectivity.
the fuck are you talking about? Don't say me
nigga, you're annoying.
Dirty ass nigga. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, great.
Don't ever call me a nigga, you dirty ass piece of shit.
Yeah, okay.
Don't ever call me a N-word. Now, go ahead and finish the conversation you were talking about with
then shut the fuck up. Then how about that?
I will shut you the fuck up. You want me to shut you up?
Alright,
Is that what you want?
Try your hardest, yeah.
Nah, I'll shut you up. It's never a problem.
Yeah, so Mike, there's a difference between, like, saying here's my opinion and saying, like, here's what, like, what happens with, like, me and my girl.
I was fucking around.
I know. I'm just trying to make the point, like, as clear as possible.
But I think it's a job if somebody brings up themselves, sometimes people only have their opinion to add, right? If somebody brings up themselves, it's up to you to dig and see the value or the correlation. You know, you're supposed to take them out of it, right? So with her submission, I took her out of it. You know, feel me? Because there's other people that feel like her. There's other people that she represent when she speaks.
Yeah, no,
so that's for you. That's
what
on
do you
you,
think she
Melissa.
said then? Like, give us your analysis.
No,
she
was an example. I'm using her.
No, I'm saying, did you listen to her and did you take her out of it though? Because you kind of paying.
Yeah, take her out of it. What was she saying?
I don't know what the fuck she was saying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, get my
Stop
point.
leave my girls alone.
No, because I was in and out of what you were saying. But I'm saying that if someone gives their opinion and you're having a philosophical argument or whatever the case is, there's got to be some value in the opinion. You don't have to center the person because they offered something from their life. You can take them as an example and correlate it to the topic.
Period. And honestly, on that fact, I don't give a fuck what y'all care about. I love niggas. I don't care that y'all want us to hate niggas.
Don't call me no nigga. Don't
call me no nigga. I don't care. I'm sorry, Black American man. That's not.
Yo, Callie, can you get rid of this shit or something like that?
Get niggas mad.
That's my man. But no, hold on, shut the fuck up.
Nah, I'm joking.
Honestly, I love Pockets. Me and Pockets have been cool. Me and Tali, it's a whole new thing where I'm like, okay, Tali.
No one gives a fuck.
I like that shit.
Dollface, you're not.
You don't give a fuck, nigga.
Like,
you don't give a fuck. But I be hoeing you niggas every single fucking time.
No, you look like a hoe when you behave like that.
You are a hoe ass nigga. I hoe you every single time. A big Black American woman, I hoe you. Like, it's not a problem.
Yeah, shut
like,
up.
Yes, that's my girl. I don't have to shut up because I hoe you
It's not
niggas.
about you.
I hoe both you niggas. I'm not gonna shut up. Both you niggas shut the fuck up so we can get back to the topic.
Okay, great.
Shut up so we can get back to the topic.
Yeah, cool.
Okay,
Both
what's
you
the
niggas.
topic, Dollface?
Shut up. You never gonna shut me up. Get up and shut the fuck up so we can get back to the topic,
You don't even
nigga.
speak proper English. What is the topic? What is the topic?
Shut up.
What is the topic? What is the topic?
Yeah, what's the topic?
You not my big sis. You not my big sis.
What's the topic?
What's the topic? Tali, what's the topic? Tim, what's the topic? Spike, what's the topic? You hoes is nothing to me.
No, we
Shut
were
the
talking
fuck
about
up.
the topic before you interrupted.
Shut up. I don't care. Everybody else
Oh,
can talk.
you're
You
ignorant.
niggas shut the
You're
fuck up.
ignorant, bro. We
Shut
know
up.
up.
Someone centers
Shut
themselves.
up, you ugly ass niggas.
Yo, Nathan.
Hey, Monica.
Yo.
Hey, Monica.
Can you get rid of this fucking monkey?
Honestly,
Listen,
you
man,
ain't
y'all ran
got
away,
no
man.
lid.
Infinity.
That's why
I
you're
was
monkey.
enjoying that
You're
conversation he had, man, with
because
Mr.
you
Infinity.
niggas ain't got no motherfucking lips.
God damn, come on,
What
man.
do you mean? My lips are voluptuous.
Lipless.
I have delicious
Lipless.
lips. Yo,
Big
Tally.
monkey, nigga. You ain't got no lips. We
Yo,
got
Tally,
you in cages, and it's okay. It's okay. We got you in cages, and it's okay.
Why do you people
Big
come
Black
on here and
American
just
will
behave
never
like this?
lose.
Don't do that.
We'll
Put a
never
name on it.
lose.
You're talking to
We'll
one person,
never
not
lose.
people.
Why does
All y'all
Dollface
have
come
to
on here and behave
talk
like this?
A-A-A-B-E because you speak of us.
Dollface is what we might call a coon.
Yeah, she's a
Coons
coon.
out.
A
Ain't nothing
coon.
wrong with coons
She's like a
out.
porch monkey. If I remember.
Nah. I really am y'all niggas' big brother. I be thinking about that.
Are you drinking right now? Are you like drinking?
No. I don't have to.
So you just like naturally
Hey,
are the
shut
retarded.
the fuck up. Hey,
No,
you
don't
using words
blame
like
your
the R
drinking
word
now.
and this and
Don't do
that.
that.
Like, honestly, you have to use all these bad words because you don't
Okay. Listen.
trash your white
Pockets.
trash.
Wow.
I can't do it, Pockets.
Horrible.
I can't do it. Help me out.
Dollface, I'm begging you, love. Let's just like.
Right.
Yeah. You don't know that inside joke, Nathan. Shut up.
No, I'm in there too.
Honestly, I feel like the girls aren't saying nothing. Pockets, you know I'm being nice. Pockets, you know I'm being nice.
Oh my
Be
god.
nice and stop talking, please, Dollface. Please let the conversation continue. God,
Wait,
please.
No, but Pockets, dude, don't do that, Pockets. Don't do it.
I'm being nice.
Don't do that, bro. You can't even get your dog here.
No. She actually has been. She's been nice, dude.
Can we talk about the new Plus features and how even more
Yes.
careful?
Thank you, Monica. You sound close. And nice Monica is sometimes. When she is a big friend.
Monica do be being nice. I like Monica.
She's bringing some. Come on, guys. Don't try to take a life from her. Go ahead, shine, baby.
Monica's on that shit. Yeah, Monica.
Dollface. Let Monica do her thing.
No.
Monica go up. Do your shit,
Come
bitch.
on.
No, don't let Dollface. Why you don't want
No, let
Dollface to
Monica
talk?
speak. Monica is the OG. Let Monica be an OG. Shut up. Monica, speak.
Y'all making a shy. Go ahead, Monica.
No, let Monica have this. She doesn't get
You're all insane.
There are 4 features that come with the Plus package. You can pay with a month, you pay with a year.
Go ahead, sister.
The first one is it'll tell you who's snooping on your profile. That's not a huge factor
And
for me. And the
translation, that's who's peeking in your window. Go.
Yeah, who's talking watching.
It'll also allow you up to 7 or 8 links on your bio. Apparently, if you're advertising or you have different websites you want to.
You could drop those links, like the addies and all that, in your profile now.
Can you let her speak, please?
Third one is you can snoop on rooms. There's one in the audience right now. We don't know who they are. We don't know what they're hearing and what they're recording, and we can't get rid of them.
So for the people that has like wires, that's for you guys. That's for y'all.
Can you let her speak?
If you in the
Can you let her speak?
Hey, Monica,
Bruce, get a glass.
really quick. Hey, Monica, a question to Monica, really. Why the fuck did you talk? Why the fuck I'm talking? I'm trying to ask Monica a question. Hey, Monica, real quick. Can you repeat what you just said? Because you went in the Matrix when you were explaining the third point. I do apologize. I'm sorry. That's all I wanted to say.
You can snoop in rooms.
Hey, what that funny is this?
Yo, shut up, Millen.
You cannot join the stage. You cannot write chat and know
Yo,
who
A-Walk,
you
take a
are.
walk.
There's a one in the audience right now. You see Anon with the plus. That's somebody random that we don't know, or it could be someone that we hate and is here listening to us. We don't
Or it
know.
could be someone recording you. You just don't know.
It could be Edmund.
So what does he say about the person and
Wait, I'm actually looking at a fifth one right here in ChatGPT. It looks like you can actually find
Pockets, you really laughing at that. You know what?
Identity.
Okay, done my pockets.
No, what?
Yo, why do it? Just like
What
let
you
someone
said,
finish the sentence.
You know, the fact that no one let Monica finish is
Ladies and gentlemen, the final point about the Anon accounts, you cannot remove them from the room. They are here until they want to leave. Now, if they want to participate in the room, like writing in chat or joining the stage and speaking, they have to leave the room, change the sunglass setting in the top right of their profile, and then come back in the room as themselves.
Oh, so you can
There's a fourth
spy
feature.
on a room anonymously. That's what somebody's doing down there.
Now, last question, Monica. How much is the premium?
It's $5 a month. You pay monthly or annually, and also, if a moderator has you blocked, you can't get in, even if you're in anonymous mode. It will block you from the room.
That's interesting.
Get out your blocking buttons, everybody. It's getting real.
Is this on Clubhouse or
So
what?
we should all block it.
So they can't
Yeah,
come
this is
on
on
stage
Clubhouse.
anonymously?
No, hold on. If this is just on Clubhouse, Pockets, add me. I guess we gotta be for the bitches now. Oh my gosh, we can't even be nice to the niggas now. This is crazy.
This is fucking
So if we, no, but for real, if we get blocked by somebody in a room, that means we can't come in there no more. That means we
No, the
have
moderator.
to
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Please. Oh, Dollface.
Deal with it, Nathan.
You're giving too much information, man. This is like information overload.
I'm sorry. Pockets.
Nigga, what do you expect that Dollface should be doing if
Oh, you were there, though.
Try again next time. Buddy.
Oh, shit. We got you.
No, leave Nathan alone. Nathan's big ass.
Bruce came
I
off
feel
mic
like
and said,
Nathan got his daddy energy.
So
Nathan
why
is
why
alone. I
you
don't be knowing. I didn't know maybe
stop
that's
drinking
you.
those Red Bulls, bro. They got
No, nigga, it's not Red Bulls, it's Hurricane.
He said,
It is Hurricane Harley. Stop playing. But
Those
no,
are some
Nathan's
trash
right.
alcohol.
Okay.
It's
So
alcohol.
we don't listen to these people no more. Honestly, like basically, if we're not cool with people, like
Nixon
I
7, baby.
we don't like these niggas no more.
Bruce, is a hurricane a beer or a malt?
Fuck them niggas. Shut your white ass up.
No, hold on. Y'all, why can't y'all answer? So is it fuck them niggas? Is it fuck them niggas? If you don't know that no more on the app,
That's why no one's
is that not
answering.
what we're hearing?
Nigga, go ask ChatGPT.
People don't understand the master of scroll as
I hope you
My
finish.
my credit score went up to 823. Let's go. We there.
That's what happens when you
Did you
scam
turn
people.
white, Nathan? Did you turn white afterwards after you broke the 800s?
No, when I get to 850, that's when I'm white.
Oh, that's
I'm
how you
almost
went
there.
Y'all was all going back and forth when I was talking.
823.
Why
He
you
got
asking the
850,
question now?
that's
You
when he's
asking the
white.
question when we go back and forth? Don't be pussy now. I don't like that. I don't like that. Asking the
Why?
question when y'all was all mixed up.
Yo, they
Nah.
co-sign for
Talk now.
What was that again?
I love Dogface.
I'm saying, listen, talk now. Because when I
Co-sign
was
for a vote?
talking y'all was all on y'all. Oh, is she saying this? She's saying that.
Shut up.
But now
You can talk to yourself, couldn't you? You can like sit in the cave and ramble.
Preach.
Listen,
Why do you even talk to me like that?
People who talk also are actually more intelligent.
The fourth
I
feature
hate that for you. You're
profile
lazy.
album. You can see multiple profile PTRs when you click on the person's PTR and you can scroll.
Hey, Pocket, did you say that's like a sign of intelligence? It's just
Yeah.
like blathering?
Well,
You're not talking to yourself.
I like Dogface.
Wait, but like, yeah, that's true, right? Like, people who are intelligent talk to themselves more, but like, it's not full-blown conversations. Like, with like a topic that's just like referring themselves.
Okay. Whatever.
You said intelligent people talk to themselves more?
Yeah, you're a drunk retard, Bruce.
Yes, they
Why don't you say the sentence again?
And you're a white dude. Then you're a white dude that.
I'm not even white, bro. Shut up.
Motherfucker ain't white.
Not you're not white.
Yo, that's another thing about this app. What makes y'all just based on their voice? Y'all just be calling people white, black, all types of shit.
I mean, yeah, he sounds like he sounds white.
Yeah, say that he sounds white. Don't call him white. We know you on the phone, right?
Right, he sounds white.
Y'all be assuming y'all know things about people, bro. This shit is weird.
I mean, but you the same way.
I am not the same way, brother.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Hold on.
What do you think I am? What do you think I am?
You know what, Bruce?
You're in a fifth dimension somewhere.
Bruce, I think you're whatever you said last time.
Hey, don't give Somali.
Yo, mods, this is a great way to run a room. Just have a bunch of drunk people ramble at each other.
But you guys got like people that are weird.
Why are you talking
Yeah, mine with the room. This is what you
So
guys
all y'all weird. So all y'all weird though.
Me and my girls, like, you never make fun of us. You never make fun. I dog walk you.
That's a good impression,
It's like a little bit Jewish, though.
I'm just gonna move down the trolls, bro. Alright, Bruce, sorry for that, bro. You just making noise. Alright, let's get a conversation on the table.
There
Try
we
this
go.
again. If you can't do it, I'm sorry. We're gonna have to move on, and we might leave you if you can't keep up. And I'm talking about you just can't say random stuff. You gotta add to the conversation. Alright?
That's crazy. You gotta get that statement. You can't just. Yo, you cannot just say random stuff.
Alright, Miller.
Yo,
God doesn't exist because
God doesn't exist because
Oh, hell no, I'm out.
I have a prior probability.
Y'all
It's
chill.
like a philosophy room, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Nah, chill. Let him go. Go ahead, dude.
Yeah,
Why
so
don't you think of this bitch?
God doesn't exist because there's like a prior probability of like God of features that a thing has, the less likely it is to actually, like, you know, the less likely it becomes, like, as a prior, right? So, like, if I say there's something that, you know, was at the beginning of the universe, but it, like, I can't say anything about it, right? That has a certain amount of likeliness attached to it, right? And then if I say, like, there's something at the beginning of the universe, but it also is, like, a person, kind of, and has a mind, right? And it cares for you. Every time I add a predicate there, I make the prior probability of the thing, right, decrease significantly. So I think God has a lot of predicates attached, right? So I give God a specifically low, a really low prior, right? And then I don't think any of the posterior evidence, like, in any way justifies the belief given the low prior.
Okay, and can I say something to you? And just like,
oh my God. No. You gotta answer the conversation.
For God.
No, I want to add to the conversation. Listen.
You got one shot now. If you mess it up, listen. If you mess it up on this time, you can get moved down for 5 minutes. What's up, Mom?
Can I get the things?
Of course.
I'm gonna make this quick too. Okay, here's my thing. When you're saying we predicate based on what God is, we have to understand that God did come down. There is the Holy Spirit, there's God, and there's Jesus, right? So we have to understand, like, the way that even we move, we want to be as perfect as God, even though we fail every single day, right? So
No.
just like,
No, you failed. You're not on topic.
Listen.
You're not on topic. I'm sorry. We're gonna have to move on.
Okay.
Go ahead,
Can I
Coco.
not get back to what he's saying?
You off topic. I'm sorry.
He's basically saying
He
that
didn't bring up anything with Jesus. He didn't bring up anything with fuck. I'm sorry.
But he's saying
I said that before. I said that if you can't keep up, we're gonna move on.
Okay, there's no way for us to be like, oh,
No,
God,
please. We'll circle back. Let Coco go. Go ahead.
whatever. Okay.
So, in is it Milithias? Yeah. So now you said that God, like, to you, God doesn't exist because what you said. I believe you said two things. Because first of all, my question is, when you think of God, are you thinking of just a actual physical character, or are you thinking a little bit beyond that?
Are you asking me?
Right.
I'm assuming that God is non-physical, right?
Okay.
God is, like, prior to physical things.
Okay. Okay. And you said you don't believe in the entity that is God because you said a P word, and I was
prior.
Yeah.
So
basically, can you repeat what you said again, please?
The specific argument is called the low priors argument, right? And, like, all it means is that, like, okay, so here's what a prior probability is, right? So if you had a coin, right, you would say, like, you know, a normal coin that you flip, you would say, like, there's a 50-50 chance, right, of it landing heads or landing tails, right? And that's before, like, you actually do any flips, right? You just, like, know that it's, like, if it's a fair coin, right, then the probability is going to be 50-50. And that's what a prior probability is, right? And then, like, you can start flipping the coin, right? And let's say, like, the coin just, like, comes up heads every time, like, 1,000 times in a row, right? Like, then you just know it's, like, not a fair coin, right? So, like, so there's two things you have to understand in that, right? There's your assessment of what the prior probability is, which is 50-50, right? And then there's the actual trials of flipping the coin, and we call that the, like, posterior evidence, right? So sometimes if the thing that you, like, if you think that, like, there's a 50-50 chance, right, that the coin's going to land on heads, and then you actually start doing the trials, and it lands on heads 100% of the time, right, you would, like, come to a conclusion that it's not a fair coin, right, because fair coins have the expected prior probability of 50-50, right, and only, like coins things that are unfair, that are stacked, right, that are like forcing themselves to land on heads every time, they're the only ones that come up 100% heads, right? So you have to have like, yeah, sorry, 1 second, let me just finish off you really quick. You have to have like the two things kind of like play into each other, right? You have your assessment of how likely the thing is, right, given no examples of trials, right? And then you have like the quote unquote examples of trials, the posterior evidence, right? And then you like compare those two things, right? And you see like, maybe like I thought the thing was really unlikely, right, when I had only the prior probability, but now that I have all the posterior evidence, I think it's likely, right? But like, you have to like overcome like what you initially conceived of as its low prior probability, right? So it's like, if you have a low prior on something, it just means that you need more evidence in the posterior trials, right, in order for you to believe that thing. That's just kind of how that works.
And so here's my thing. Hold on. Real quick. I'm sorry, I'm gonna make this real quick and I'm gonna move on. But Millie, in your conversation, right? Hey, shut up. What I'm gonna say is, in your same conversation, you're basically being like, if we can show a short-term evidence, then it moves on to a long-term evidence, right? Okay, here's me being a black woman who is more conservative. Let's actually talk about it, right? If we're gonna say that these things are just something that happens and then we move on, then that would mean that I actually have a better leg to stand on than you would. Because yes, you may have these conversations that can, move past and have people to take up for you, but at the same time, it's just like, I know for a fact that I've been around people who do things and we fuck with each other, not because we are doing just shit. We are long-term evidence.
Yo, Nathan, right?
Based on you. Hold on. Hey, shut the fuck up. We're long-term evidence, right? If you're gonna say that, oh well, this is a problem, and let's
resolve it. He's talking about probabilities.
Hey,
like, it's not. Like, hold on. Like, I'm trying to be like cool here. Like, you know what like a probability is? Like, he's talking about like given the concepts. Okay, cool. So think about it this way. Given the concepts at hand, right? There's gonna be an assigned probability before you even examine the evidence on the table, right? Like, like an overly complex object has a lower probability of existing because all of these things about the object have to be true. Right? And as you add those things that have to be true, the probability of it being true is less likely overall. Like, think about like a math equation. The more premises it has, right, the more complex it is. Okay, cool. So,
like, honestly, I feel like you want to pop your pussy, and that's cool. I love that for you. But, like, if we're going to actually talk about math, honestly, truly, I can actually talk about people in this room. Right? Like, I can.
No, that's your issue. You talk about people. You talk about people and yourself.
I can be like, it's honestly
Hold on.
that.
One second. That's not nice, dude.
Oh, what the fuck was that?
That sounds good.
I don't know if that pockets.
Yeah, that was just a huge relief. Y'all never had one of those? Like a relief?
I don't know what I'm talking about, so I just want to stop them talking.
Yeah, that was just, that was beautiful. So, Mills, I have a question for Mills.
Sure.
When it comes to, like, the probability. Now, I'm not a fucking genius. I'm gonna just put that out there. I don't know shit about math when it comes to that. I don't know what the fuck you guys are talking about.
Wait, don't come from my bed.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, like, when it comes to stepping outside and seeing how nature works and how we work with nature and how just the whole world works, do you think that could be accident or if that's on purpose? How we all, you know what I mean? I don't know if I'm explaining it correct.
Like, I think you're making some sort of, like, I don't know, like, inference, like design inference or something.
Right,
like,
yeah. Like, do you believe that the design of this...
Like, everything works so well together?
Exactly, yeah. Do you think
like,
it could be accident or that's actual design, something greater than ourselves create?
Oh, I think it's, like, most likely accident.
Okay.
Right, so, like, yeah, so I think, like, there's a ton of stuff, like, if you look into it, like, really closely, there's, like, a ton of stuff that, like, just doesn't make a ton of sense about, like, how life works, right? Like, there's a ton of things that are just, like, just good enough to get by, right, where they could have been, like, a lot better. There's a ton of things that, like, what's a good example? Oh, so, like, there's a certain part of a giraffe, like, in the giraffe's neck, right, that, like, because, like, of the way evolution worked, right, it was, like, easier for evolution to, like, create like this like I don't know part in the neck like by like slowly adding like inches or whatever onto it. But like what it should have done, like if you were to design a giraffe from the beginning, right? So what ends up happening is like because of the way evolution works, right? You end up having this like piece in a giraffe's neck that goes like all the way from the top, like where their brain is, and like goes down through the neck and then like loops all the way back up again, right? And it's like the most inefficient design you could ever imagine. Like no one who was designing a giraffe. Sorry?
No, where are the giraffes from? I'm just asking. I'm sorry.
Oh, so they just evolved from like common ancestors.
And what?
Right. So there was something that was like a giraffe. Giraffe, like giraffe.
I always wondered about certain like coincidences, right? When like we breathe CO2 and the trees around us. Hold on, office. Like we breathe CO2 and the trees around us need that CO2 to carbon dioxide to thrive, to build. Certain things I've always thought can't just be happenstance or accidents. Like to the fact where with the entire creation needs each other to survive in a way. It just seems too divine to really question.
Most people use it wrong, right? So when someone says things came together randomly, it's not exactly how it works, because two hydrogens and an oxygen make water. There is no other random chemicals that can mix together to create water, so it's not a random.
Yeah, but I don't think they're not talking about that. Like, they're not talking about the actual, like...
No, we are talking about that, because Black Americans think...
Yo, Dolphins!
I'm trying to help you, ho. I'm trying to help you.
They're not talking about the fact that those things happen. They're talking about the laws that play, like,
How did they come from?
Holy fuck.
Hold on, let me
go.
Go.
Why is the case that, like, they kind of, like what do you call it? The force of, like, electron overpowers, like, the kind of, like, force of, like, gravity, right? Like, those things have to be true for you even to have chemistry function, right? And they're saying something like, well, it's not just the fact that those, like, molecules make water. It's like, why do those molecules even have the relations they do? What grounds them kind of, like, the labor for the actual laws?
Hold on, because also, Airwalk, what's crazy is that these things would be here even without our knowledge of it. That's what's amazing, is that even before we put the actual label of this is hydrogen, this is oxygen, this is, it was already there before we even had that or put names on it or whatever. So that's
but that's like an epistemic fact, right? Like,
But why are the...
it's the case that, like, it's the case that, like, I will go to work tomorrow, right? Even though I don't even need to, like, think about it. I don't even have to know that for it to be true. Like, it's just, but that's how kind of how facts function, I think, though. It's not like a feature of, like, intentionality or something. It's just, like, how the subject works in regards to facts and its accessibility.
So I'm not sure what you're saying there, eh? So, like, from what I see, like, they're not making the inference from, like, the fundamental constants of the universe or such.
Yeah.
Like, they're not making that inference. They're making, like, a more, like, watchmaker, you know what I mean? Like, you see a watch on a beat.
Like a fine-tuning argument or something?
Not a fine-tuning. Like, I think they're making the design, right? And not a fine-tuning. I think you're pulling them towards fine-tuning. Whereas I think they're really trying to make, like, the watchmaker.
No, I think A was responding to the molecules or the water thing coming together, being the claim that
hold on, I will say.
And he's saying, like, the lack of randomness. He's saying the lack of randomness is like
it was my point of, like.
No, face sucks. Correct. Yeah. So Mike, the only thing I'm saying is that, like, like, he was responding specifically to that, right? But, like, I think what Pockets was trying to say is that, like, it's, like, curious how, like, we breathe
everything
in
works well together.
Right, we breathe in oxygen. Right, it has nothing to do with, like covalent bonds between, like, hydrogen and oxygen.
No,
right? It's more to do with, like, we breathe in oxygen and trees breathe in carbon dioxide. We exhale carbon dioxide and trees.
That would be the case regardless.
Trees breathe in carbon dioxide. So it's like.
It's like that popular now.
Well, my point. Hold on, y'all. My point was to prove the existence of God, a higher power, something beyond understanding. How do these things fit and work so
well? Yeah, no, we're kind of arguing about like, what method you're doing that by, right? Like, under my impression, I was responding to Tim, and I was like, I don't think you're just specifically saying that hydrogen is hydrogen because of like whatever you're saying. I thought you were making a greater point about like all this stuff has this kind of functionality to it, and why are they functional? And Milt's just saying it's more so like an argument about like intentionality being found in like design.
Yeah.
More so than just like.
Exactly.
Yeah. So he was right. I think I was maybe more contextualizing myself towards Tim and not kind of focusing on the overall argument. I apologize.
No, that's why I asked Millis if he believes in like accidents when it comes to science and nature and all that. Are there accidents or is everything designed?
Well, so that's the interesting thing, right? So like, it's kind of like both, right? So like, the way people describe evolution, right, is like random mutation with non-random selection.
Thanks for all the stuff.
Right? So like, how your genome mutates is completely random, right? You just get like random mutations, like sometimes when people are being birthed, right? And that like changes their morphology in some way, or their like, ability to do X, Y, or Z in some way, to their capacities, right? So the mutation part is completely random, right? But then what randomly changed organisms end up surviving in a given like ecosystem is completely non-random, because it has to do with which organism is the most fit for that ecosystem, right? So that's why it's non-random selection.
And that's one thing too, because I like that. I'm glad they used that word, because a big misunderstanding too is the difference of when we say like survival of the fittest, or when someone mistakenly says survival of the strongest. In the evolutionary science, where fit just simply means able to reproduce at like a high level. So a lot of times we look at humans as fit, but so are flies, and so are a ton of other insects. So
I definitely feel
just
like
means fit for the ecosystem. And that can mean a whole bunch of different things.
I definitely feel like, even to you pockets, I lay down, girl. I definitely feel like when we have like the fittest, especially when we have like these conversations, like American conversations, like a lot of people will be like, oh, like you're Black American, you're this, you're that, like you're dark skinned, we don't even want you. I'd be like, why are you hoes on my ass? Leave me alone. You know what I'm saying? Like, honestly, hey, you're the only one talking. You see how everybody else I be cool with? I apologize. I have no beef with them. You want that drama?
About God, girl.
You see how he want that drama?
I know, but
it's like,
chill.
I'm trying to chill, because I fuck with y'all. I fuck with the rest of y'all. Y'all be cool. It's just certain niggas. You say you don't fuck with me, and then I be making these white men beat you up. Is that what you want? And I hate to be that black woman. Like, they be making me feel bad. Like, now I'm a dark black woman making the white man beat this nigga up. Like, it makes me feel bad.
Dollface, I need you to just mute up. Save it for the night.
I'm a lock in.
Yes, saving it up. Listen to the cargo. Alright.
I just don't like how certain people say certain things.
Baby girl.
The sheriff doesn't condone some behavior.
Ugly. I'm so sorry.
What's good? Because this is a good combo. Who was gonna? I think a couple people were trying to say something.
Yeah, because I'm trying to learn. Because like I said, I did not listen to Bill Nye back in the day. I was snoozing through the classes, so I'm trying to understand the science. Hold on. I was trying to understand the science aspect of proving whether or not God exists. Because I always thought it was a higher power, something we don't understand. There's some things we'll never understand, and that's what I always thought God was something beyond us. And I don't think we could ever put science to it.
Can I ask you a question? No pocket.
No, you're absolutely right about that. Science doesn't determine whether or not God exists. God is like a metaphysical, quote unquote, like postulate, right? And science has nothing to say about metaphysical postulates, right? It can only tell us about like quote unquote physical things and how they interact. It can't tell us about like whether or not a God exists.
The other thing too is, I'm sorry, on that.
No. Even why a law is true, I think.
Right. The purpose is not something science tells. Is like it doesn't give meaning or purpose. It's kind of it just tries to break down at the highest capacity of evidence to.
Well, there's just certain things that are like outside the domain of science, right? So like, think about like whether or not it's right or just or moral to like kill someone, right? Like, there's no amount of science you can do there that's going to, like, actually decide that issue, right? That's an issue for, like, philosophy. And it's the same with, like, God, right? Science is just not the thing we're going to look to adjudicate whether or not a God exists. We're going to look to things like philosophical arguments.
No, this game
Science can be that. I mean, when you talk about science, the first thing you do when you conceptualize God, you use reference points of what God may be. So even to think about like the concept of God, you are bringing into like the reality of the situation where you are then using these reference points, how you describe God, like maybe what God may look like, what God may do. All this is conceptualized by your own mind. So therefore you can utilize science to just kind of like say, hey, God exists or not, right? So if you say you can't conceptualize God, then no one can actually know what God is, right? So how can you prove that at all? So therefore the end result, the conclusion is you are agnostic. You don't know if God exists or not. But if you say there is a God and you listen to scripture or whatever religion is out there, then it has been conceptualized. It's descriptive at that point. So therefore, it's now brought into the reality of like existence. So then you can look at science to kind of like, you know, determine whether it is there or not, or even philosophy.
No, but that's like, that doesn't seem right to me, because like, think about it, like, God could exist and we could just be like not able to conceptualize it, right? Like, those two things come completely apart. So, like, our epistemic limits, right, as, like, you know, biological beings that, like, aren't omniscient, aren't, like, you know, omnipotent, omnibenevolent, right, don't have any of the omnis, right? It might just be, like, impossible for us to, like, fathom, like, a true, like, a concept that actually maps on to, like, what God really is, right? Like, we might just be, like, we might not have those types of senses kind of thing, right? Like, we might just be, like, limited in that way.
Why do people because I don't.
But it could still be true that God exists, even if we are limited in that way, right?
But why do people use like? And I've heard this. Hold on. I've used this like what? I've heard this like maybe once or twice. I don't know. But why do people use like the Big Bang Theory as a reason to prove?
Because they don't know what it is.
Well, no. I think so. Pockets like, you can use scientific evidence to like support premises in philosophical arguments, right? So like people will make arguments like, if the universe began to exist, the universe has a cause. Everything that begins to exist has a cause. The universe began to exist. Therefore, the universe has a cause, right? And then the people will say like that cause is God, right? So like,
it has to be
in order to support.
Yeah, well, it has to be on cause as well, right? Yeah, I was just adding that part because I think important part of the premise is that like the cause has to be on cause, and that's how you get like the necessary.
Right.
But to specifically touch upon what you're saying, like at least
I just want to
when they found out that the Big Bang Theory
I just want to
was
like
what it
land it,
was.
so it's
Yeah,
like
let you
starting point.
Let him cook, bro.
Yeah, so I just want to land it so it's very clear, and then I'll shut up on this. So like in that argument I just gave you, right? Everything that begins to exist has a cause. The universe began to exist, therefore the universe has a cause, and that cause is God, right? In the second premise, right, the universe began to exist, someone might bring up the Big Bang as evidence of that fact.
Does God exist?
Right? But it's so the conclusion is God exists for that argument, right? But it's still a philosophical argument.
And even here's my thing, Mila. Even in that conversation, God does still exist. That's why y'all.
Alright, I'm back. No.
Well, Dollface, you just questioned Becky. Like, think about the kind of argument we're having.
No, let me finish the conversation.
You're not engaging. And I'm trying to tell you why.
Finish what he's saying. Let me answer him.
Either you let me explain it so like people just like.
Listen, you were talking to the other niggas. You was letting them be quiet. I want to answer him specifically.
You're not answering him.
I'm starting to enjoy
and I don't have to do that. Honestly, look. I don't have to do that. Yeah, I don't have to do that. I literally don't have to do that. Like, honestly, that's one of my favorite things about being around the whole ethnicity of people. I don't have to listen to you.
My people. I'm black.
I don't have to listen to you, nigga. I don't have to listen to you. Alright, everybody.
respectfully speaking, I think Dollface did start speaking right after Miller. Even though it's a bad point,
Nathan said no.
She's been doing this all night, bro.
Yeah, Nathan said she has to be on topic, bro. Nathan said she has to be on topic.
Let's let the bad point come out, and then after the bad point, you can show us.
Nathan, this is why we gotta deport all Mexicans, bro. I'm voting for Trump.
And honestly, truly, honestly, I love y'all because honestly, I think it's so funny because
you see why?
It's so crazy that. No, shut up. I'm only a little bit Mexican only because we used to be Blackfoot Indian, but they was yelling at us and they was like, y'all aren't Native American no more. You're Mexican. I was like, oh my gosh, what the fuck? I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck no more. Like, honestly, truly, I'm out here begging for time.
Alright.
It is.
Nathan, can I count? Can we count that as her submission?
Someone just make a walk a mod.
I didn't finish my topic.
So I want to real quick too, because this is a subject I generally enjoy and read a lot on and watch a lot of stuff on. So a lot of times too, pockets, people misunderstand what science say what the Big Bang is.
No, don't stop coming at pockets because she was coming
I'm
at
just gonna move you down, dog. I'm just gonna move you down. There you go.
To the discussion of what, see, scientists wouldn't say really what started it. They don't really talk like that. But so a lot of people take the Big Bang as like that's when space and time started. So they think someone a mind had to start it. And some people even say a God could even have performed the Big Bang, which scientists does not say the universe started, and have left it alone from there too.
Wait, Tim, what do you think the Big Bang is, bro?
It's the expansion. It's the early expansion of the universe.
Oh my God, Millet. Yeah, Millet, your name is Tim, bro.
No, that's what the answer is. Yeah,
no, the stuff. What? It's the expansion. It only talks about the expansion of the universe, meaning that it expanded, not that it is the beginning.
Yeah, it's as far back as we can go to where time conceptually started.
And then what happened is, so like this is when we get into like, can science prove it? Well, science can prove it because we can watch the radiation, we can watch the
cosmic microwave background.
Yeah, we can watch the red light shifts. So, and then when you talk about science, here's what the problem is: when you talk about philosophy, it turns into, well, what started it, and science doesn't really claim that. But what a religious person will say, or maybe a philosopher will say, is that there had to be a first cause, and a lot of people attribute that to the Big Bang, like God, that was it. But so that's where it gets confusing for religious people and scientists. It's like that's not what science is saying. Is exactly what
There are some like philosophers or some like especially religious people who think that like there's good arguments for there having to be a first cause, but like I don't think that's the case.
Right.
I think it's like silly to
think. You don't think there's any good arguments for there being a first cause, Millet?
Sorry? Yeah, I think they're all really silly, the arguments for their like needing a first cause. Like they all depend on like very, very, very philosophically dubious type of like assumptions or premises, right? So like the type of like regressive Aristotelian first cause that argument that Tim was pointing out, right? Relies on something called like the principle of sufficient reason, right?
And what's wrong with that?
Well, nothing. But
like who dislikes
many people.
There's arguments against that.
Yeah,
there's like the big conjunctive fact.
Yeah, exactly. The PSR is like even like a weak PSR is like still too strong, right? Because like presumably a lot of people will not. I think there can be brute facts, right? And if there's brute facts, then like those things don't need an explanation. So the PSR would just be false in a case like that. And I don't think there's any good arguments that are levied that like say like.
Think about that idea of logic facts. It's like
this is supposed to say the same thing.
I was thinking about like you can say God's necessary, but it's like what explains the necessity? Like, is it a brute fact as well? Like, is it the bottom out as a necessity claim? There's no further necessity that explains this necessity. It just kind of gets weird, right? It seems like special pleading or something.
Why aren't people better? Hold on, y'all.
Shut up.
My God, why aren't people better, right? If someone says that you want to live,
a God is outside of existence. My first thought is something outside of existence doesn't exist.
Yeah,
how do you feel about that?
why?
Existence is like the hardest thing to talk about.
Here's my thing, like,
But what do you think about that statement? Do you think I'm wrong right off the bat, or what would you say?
Dollface. Let me ask you this question. Why do you think you need to be heard?
I feel like, why are y'all having these conversations about...
You say you don't know this, I'm just gonna move you down, man.
I'm saying, like, why are we as Americans having these conversations?
Well, why do you think you need to be heard? Why should we listen to you?
You don't have to listen to me.
I must say,
It's all just move you down
for
there.
an hour, but I do enjoy that knowledge is gonna do what he typically does to me, to Nathan. And I'm here for it. I love it.
Yeah, I got a question for Tim. Tim, you got one of the philosopher roles. So what does PSR mean? These philosopher roles.
I didn't understand the word you said. Say it again.
Yeah. What does PSR mean? This is a common philosopher term.
PSR?
Yeah.
I'm not a philosopher. Like, I enjoy, I'm more of a science guy. I enjoy listening to philosophy, but I don't know what that term means. PSR, no.
You're good. Yeah. PSR is just a philosophical term for principle of sufficient reasoning.
Oh, I might have heard the term before, something like that. I don't know if I've heard
They don't speak like regular folks.
No,
Meaning that it should be like some kind of explanation to that thing.
In the context of what we were talking about, Tim, it just means that like everything has every effect has a cause, right? That's what like the PSR in the sense that we were talking about it, which is like what you need to like run the type of Aristotelian argument you were pointing at before, right? The like sort of like, you know, whatever begins to exist has a cause. The universe begins to exist, so you know the universe has a cause. That causes
whatever begins to exist.
So the opposite is, so if someone says uncaused cause, is that a rebuttal to what PSR is?
That'll be like
specific word that.
So when they say PSR, they're gonna say their version of specific reasoning. They're gonna try to like say, oh, this is what I think.
Principle of sufficient reason.
Sufficient reason, yeah. So like, so Tim, what you would want to say in that instance is you would want to say like, well, why can't I have brute facts, right? Which is to say that like there could be something that comes into existence or starts existing, right, as like a fact or whatever that doesn't have like a completely 100% described like a cause, right? And that's like that type of thing in the philosophical literature would be considered like a brute fact. That is a fact that doesn't need an explanation. And if there is a fact that doesn't need an explanation, then the principle of sufficient reason, which says that like all effects need an explanation in terms of a cause, would just be false.
Does the whole married bachelor thing fall into this?
Well, this is like analytic truth. It's like, you know, something that's true by definition. Like that, like, it's kind of separate from the PSR, right? Because, like, you can have those types of facts and still have brute facts, etc., right? It's just like the necessity relation kind of stops at God. And then God is just necessary without an explanation, you know? There's no cause to him.
Well, I find that if God is the answer for everything,
the uncaused cause.
No answer. Well, he's also there's no. So if he's the answer for everything, then there's
it's kind of like this idea. It's like, do you think an object can explain itself? It's kind of weird, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Like, do I explain myself? No, it seems like I'm explained by this causal history that my parents, etc., you know, those things explain me those facts.
But that's how you get out of the infinite regress, right?
Yeah, but you can almost break down any subject, and like you can always kill a conversation at least, or kill a thought, because with the infinite regress shit, because then we both just stop at, because you'll hear me say, well, scientists say they don't know what happened, and not knowing is not necessarily a position.
Oh, if you say that everything that begins to exist has a cause, right? Then it's going to be something that exists that doesn't have a cause, or something that began to exist that doesn't have a cause, right? You got to stop. It got to be some starting point.
No, see that's.
You have an infinite regress. There was never a starting point.
See, like that's like a very common mistake, kind of, that people make too, right? Like another thing I could just say, if someone says to me, like, you know, every single thing has a cause, right? Every single effect has a cause that like fully explains it, sufficiently explains it. I could just say something like, okay, absolutely, right? Every effect has a cause going back ad infinitum, right? So it's like there is no effect in the chain, right, of like cause and effect. There's no effect that doesn't have a cause, right? Because it's an infinite chain back. There is no starting point, right? So therefore there's no need for like a first effect that doesn't have a cause, right? So I can just like accept the PSR and then just say like, well, you know, time stretches infinitely in the past, right? For the universe, the multiverse, or whatever.
Yeah,
and that's
we
another
do
way
have a
to get around
time
the PSR.
when we say there was a beginning for our expansion of our universe, right? There is a beginning. There was.
Yeah.
That's what we say.
Right. Yeah.
But you're saying there isn't a
Wait,
beginning.
what do you mean? Wait, what did you say, Bill? You said it's right that we have a beginning in our universe or something?
Yeah, like I think the scientific evidence, right, like the commonly adopted, understood scientific evidence is that like our universe started 14-point-something billion years ago.
That's when like the Big Bang started expanding. It's like, you know, that could be like an infinite cycle.
No, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, I was
just saying. Like I think you know what I'm saying, right? But like the point is that like you can just deny that like every effect, like you can accept the principle of sufficient reason that every effect needs a cause that like sufficiently explains it, and then just say, well, you know, there was no beginning of the universe, so there's never a instance of an effect without a cause, right? Even though like there's a response to that, which is to say like, well, what explains the entire chain, right, of cause and effect? Even if it goes infinitely back, if the principle of sufficient reason should say that there's something that explains the entire chain, because everything has an explanation. So like that's a response to.
Why is that a problem? Everything does have an explanation. Everything does come from
What explains God?
What explains God? In which way?
The way you just said everything has an explanation, that way. The way you said.
So, for example, like me personally, as someone who doesn't, you know, experience privilege, I definitely feel like even when people come at me and they're like, "Oh,
no, I don't need that." Like, no, I'm asking about your account for like what explains God.
Can I explain the situation to you?
No, because you're not talking about what I asked you.
Okay. You want me to explain it like raw, right?
No, I want you to explain it in the way that you give an
I can
account
do
for
it
like.
raw. As a Black American, I'm better than you. I'm prettier than you.
That's not true. What is this like racism? I'm black. You fucking
You're
idiot.
a fucking hoe. You're a weird ass nigga. And honestly, truly, you have to fight for your stake in these rooms. Honestly, they kick me down, bring me back up. They know I be wildin', but they know I'm their nigga. So.
What do you mean? They like me more than you.
Is that what you?
That's
Is
false.
that the answer you wanted?
Well, that's false.
Is that the answer you wanted?
Make sure I'm more like.
Is that the answer you wanted?
That's not anything.
I can hold you
You're just
out.
talking out of your ass.
I can hold you out anyway. They're saving you.
Oh my god, you're just like a retard.
The whites save you. The whites save you and be like,
someone get rid of his fucking brain.
All my girls got me. All my girls.
Okay, but when I came back, period, I still came down and talk shit. Like, it's no problem. It doesn't. It's not.
Every time
Don't you
enters the room on herself.
You're a homie.
Talks about herself.
Yo, Eric, get rid of this fucking dumb retard.
I can talk to you. Ask me a question, I answer.
Yes, your answer was talking about yourself, not answering his fucking.
Okay. So, what is your question about other people? Go ahead, explain it.
What? What the?
No, how is it like? Honestly,
you might have brain damage.
Ask her to repeat the question that was asked her.
Yeah, your cognitive faculties are just broken. Oh, no, look. What did I ask you originally?
No, let him ask his question. I don't care about you.
You're fucking.
He's hilarious.
I asked you the question, right?
Okay, what's your question?
No, what did I ask you? How do you know that you answered my question if you don't know what I asked you?
I feel like I answered your question because I was like, okay.
You just feel like it? I feel like you didn't. I feel like you didn't answer my question. No, I feel like you didn't.
Okay, so go back with your question again. We can laugh at you again.
Alright, I'm gonna ask you one more time, and if you don't answer this question, you have to admit that you're like not tracking, okay? And then we can kind of like work on your reasoning faculties.
Okay.
Like, look. Okay, what explains God in the way that everything else has an explanation? Because it seems as though you would appeal to everyone else's explanation to be God causally, right? So then how does God explain himself?
No, I'm not
causally?
God. Here's my thing. Okay, so here's the thing. You're taking step by step for you because we know you're slow. Okay, so I'm gonna take it step by step for you because like you got your pen and paper. So I'm gonna take it from the top to the bottom.
Yeah. So answer my question. I'm waiting. Yeah.
Okay. So the beginning is how do you know that you believe in God, right?
No, you can't answer a question with the question. You said they give me like.
No, I'm answering your question.
Are you asking me that, or
Papas?
is it like
No,
rhetorical?
Papas, I'm telling you to get your pencil and paper.
Yeah, I was like wondering, was that a rhetorical question, or
I'm telling you to get your pencil and paper.
Okay, never mind.
Okay, get your pencil and paper. Okay, right, period. So I know that I do support the God because honestly, truly, if I was really a type of person who y'all believed was once to be a victim or was
she's not answering the question.
No, listen, get your pencil and paper.
No,
Why
you're
are you
talking? I'm done.
Why are you talking?
Talk about herself.
Why are you talking?
Let her talk about herself.
Shut up. Exactly. I would know for a fact that's not true because quite honestly, we have our pencil and paper, get that out, of what the Lord wants for us. Okay? The Lord wants for us to be peaceful. Write that down. The Lord wants for us to be understanding.
What happens?
The law given, the law take it away.
Thank God.
Nah, one of the hosts got mad. Y'all just be getting mad because
you just rambling. I warned you. I told you that if you keep rambling, I'm gonna move you down. No. If you keep rambling, I'm gonna move you down. This me, Nathan. Please.
How is me saying something to him rambling?
Because you're just using words. And using words in the room, but words have meaning, isn't cool. That's not cool. That's what, by definition, what cooling is.
He asked me to answer to him why I felt the way that I did, and I was like, okay, cool.
That's not what I asked you. You fucking insane woman. No, I asked you what explains God.
Okay, and I was answering that to you.
Okay, you explain God by talking about what he wants? How does that work? You know, okay. Oh, how do I explain the sun? Well, I explain the sun because I want ice cream. Fucking idiot.
Ghetto and yelling at each other and like calling us idiots. You think you're calling me an idiot and doing something? Do you think that makes me like?
No, it makes me feel good. No, it makes me feel good.
You think I give a fuck that some loser is calling me an idiot?
When I go have sex tonight, I'll be like, there's this retarded woman.
I care about people like Tommy. I care about people like Tim. I care about people who actually have like helped my life and want more for me.
Yeah, because you're fucking selfish. Clearly, you're a selfish person.
You're a fucking loser. I don't give a fuck about some fucking loser feeling mad about me.
I'm a beautiful motherfucker.
Who cares?
You can never put me down.
If you say so, I don't care. You're not that to me. You're a fucking loser.
Yeah, you know what it means to be you, bro?
You can't even take me being like, oh yes, I respect these people, blah blah blah, because you're like, no,
you mean like
it's not me. You're not talking about me, so it's a problem. That's loser shit. You're a lame ass shit. I don't have to protect.
Are you mentally ill?
You're a loser.
At this point, she's just like repeating words that she's heard in the room.
Probably.
You're a loser. I hate that for you. I hate that you're a fucking loser. Because honestly, there are so many people who are fucking cool. Like, there are so many people, like, even like
the Cheetos man, that guy's cool.
He's fucking cool.
He looks like he smokes weed,
Mr. Marlboro.
Oh, that's a cool nigga.
Yeah, that's one cool camel.
Yo, Pocket, that's your friend? Pocket, why are you hanging out with people like that, for real?
She's either plastered out of her mind, or she's like quite possibly the dumbest person on the app.
Let's not talk about people when they're not on the stage. Let's leave it.
Yeah, you're right.
Listen, she's not usually like this. Right now she's trolling. Let's don't troll. Anyways, Miller, I think you gave 4 arguments for the non-existence of God, and that's okay.
Okay. Well, what was poor about it? You can also, like, there's other arguments too, right? Like, you can play, like, an abductive game with, saying things like, you know, most religious professions about a god, right? Even, like, you, Nathan, you take most of them to be wrong, right? Like, every other religion that isn't your religion, their gods you take to be incorrect. Basically, even people in your religion that don't have, like, the same view of God as you take to be incorrect, right? So there's way more God concepts, like, that you reject than there's God concepts that you accept, right? So it's just, like, more likely that any specific God concept, right, is going to be non-veridical, that is, like, not tracking the, like, truth of, ontological truth of what actually exists, than any specific one being true, like, more likely, actually vertical, right? So that's just, like, an abductive or inductive way to think about, like, God claims. So that's another argument for atheism. Are there any other good ones, A-Walk, that I'm missing?
Do you think Nathan's going to respond to...
No, he doesn't have to.
Any of those arguments?
Doesn't have to. Are there any other good ones that you think are good that you think I'm missing?
No, I think I like the low priors is my favorite, to be honest.
Yeah.
I used to be like more agnostic until I heard that actually. I mean, like, I think there's like arguments against like Christianity. Like, I think like the logical problem of evil is fine, but it's like an issue contextualized towards certain religious institutions that have.
Oh yeah, is that what you think? Oh really? So you think it's like an ad hom kind of thing when you're presenting it? You have to present it
but
to
not
the
in the way
right
like
Christian.
Yeah, but not in the way you want to fucking.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
Like I like.
Oh, by the way, Sasha came in and backed me on this is what I was saying with Cleb.
About the idea that like yeah, but like I think Cloud's point is still true that like that's arguments are only ever going to be forceful if someone accepts the premises of them, right? And that's what makes it contextualized.
No, but like the whole point is that like if they accept the premises, right? That's where I can draw out the like.
That's true. Yeah.
So of course, right? Like I know like when you have an ad hom argument, right? They have to accept the premises, right? But it's their acceptance of the premises that allows you to draw the tension. Right, so just pointing out that they have to accept the premises,
but I was
like,
the ad
that's
hom
some sort of like deflationary point.
Yeah. No, I think Ricky, but I took the ad hom to kind of be like, it's not necessarily a function or a part. I guess it's a function argument, but it's not a part of the argument. The ad hom comes in when you have like this kind of like understanding of their background beliefs too, on top of the premise factors, right?
But that's not the
I think I agree with you there.
Yeah.
But the point that I think I agree with Albedo is that like all arguments are head hop, and the way you described it is just the fact that they have to accept the premises need to be motivated. Like an argument doesn't function if they don't accept the premises. I think that's true of every argument. The ad hom is just the idea that like there's going to be background tension.
No,
right?
no.
And then you feel the character.
Accept the premises for arguments to be forceful. Like you can have a specific argument for a premise, right? And they can like think that argument for the premise is like generally successful or whatever, right? But like they don't have to like accept the premise before you like start talking to them about the argument. But that is a requirement for an ad hom argument, right? Because an ad hom argument, when you're creating it, right, when you're like determining what it's going to be addressing, right?
Motivational.
You're only addressing a certain subset.
No, I agree with you there, but like by motivational there, you just mean that like persuasive intuition wise or something, right? Like, I mean, I can agree there, but I think like in terms of it's like being applicable functionally, right? Or to have the motivation that like the conclusion does follow in the way that should persuade the person. I do think that is a function of accepting the premises.
Well, only in deductive arguments.
Well, I mean, that's going to be true for inductive ones. Just be like, you're going to say it's like probably true or something,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but like that's fine. I mean, that's still motivational.
like you can get like more likely than not premises, right? That are like
no, that's fine. Right? But that's still. But the idea there is that like
likely, right? They're determined on like more likely than
yeah.
alternative in an abstract.
Yeah, but the idea there is that like that probability claim is going to follow in some function, right? Given the argument.
I'm not sure what do you mean by follow, given like
okay, like yeah, even an inductive argument, right? It's like I don't mean follow inductively. I mean like it's gonna like the conclusion is true given those things. If the premises 1 and 2 are true, the conclusion is likely true, right? Like
yeah,
and that's like a function of the argument.
I can just be comparing A to
B. I know. Yeah, I know what abduction is, bro. I'm listening inductively. That's why you said likely. I was picking out the language you use. I'm saying, but that like. That is, like, the function of the argument is that motivation. It's supposed to illuminate that for the person, right? Like, I agree with you that, like, I can give someone an argument. They can not even think about the premises being true, but they can have an intuition about it or something. Like, whatever, that's fine, right? But, like, I think the point Avito was saying is that, like, that relation or that motivation is, like, the kind of function of why we give arguments in the first place.
Like, okay, so, like, I look at it like this, like, you can tell me where you get off this ship, right? I look at it like this. If, like, me and you have a disagreement, right, I can do, like, one of two things, right? Like, I can give you an argument, right, that I think I have, like, support for the premises that you may or may not agree with, right? And we can discuss, like, what I think is my support, and then we can discuss, like, whether or not you think, like, the thing's valid and sound kind of thing, right? So that's one way I could go. The other way I could go is I could very narrowly tailor an argument to your specific professed beliefs, and I could show a contradiction.
Yeah, and that's like an ad hoc,
Yes, and they're two different, they're completely different. That's all I'm trying to point out to.
I wasn't completely different, but I do think like in the sense that you're saying is that, especially the evidential problem of evil, that clearly isn't addressing the person's personal beliefs, right? More so like about their like kind of like that's why I say it's like about the Christian commitments, and like it necessarily like seems to be engaging with background beliefs, but they're going to be forms of arguments that don't need that, right? I think we agree there. So yeah, no. But the point I'm saying, yeah. No, but I think Alvito's point was that like the motivational part is like true of any argument given the premises being accepted or something. But like I don't know, he was just being overly combative with you. I can give you that too.
No, it's fine. Like shit happens.
He was doing that shit where like he's like I'm a black belt, so I'm gonna like wrestle.
But I did make a bunch of mistakes. I did say some stupid stuff.
That propositional level silly, bro.
Yeah. The propositional stuff is really bad.
I got a question for you two then, or a statement, and I want to hear your opinion on it. So someone says, and this is the argument like I would make. Well, I wouldn't make this. I would oppose it. You'll see. Someone says. Believes in the creation story, right? Everything's created, Earth is created, humans are created, and they always bring up, everything takes a mind. So they'll bring up like a computer. But I would say, if you can't distinguish what's uncreated,
claiming. So, for instance, they're claiming that the ice just showed up because. Okay, you were there. What are you saying occurred again? One more time.
This happened in DC. We're literally on Capitol Hill. It's a whole block that has restaurants, and my bakery is amongst the businesses that's on there. All the businesses on the block, just one. And when they went to that business, this was them trying to find out who works there, etc., etc. And the backstory is this person used to work for the Republican Party, and he left because of the January 6th, what happened, so it's a personal vendetta. So it doesn't, and this is what's currently going on, because everybody is thinking, oh, you get the news from CNN. No, people have personal stories and personal encounters.
Yeah, but you don't know for sure what lead they were operating on. You're not on the inside of what guys
But the lead is false, is what I'm trying to say.
How do you know it's false? If you don't know what lead they're operating on, whatever brought them to that, but you don't know what actually brought them to that establishment. You don't know what lead they were working on. You don't know who they had under surveillance. You're just operating off of your vantage point as a person on the outside.
But I just told you he's my business neighbor, and he doesn't have anybody working for him that is not American.
Okay, but what I'm saying is you don't know what brought ICE to his establishment. You don't know what information they were operating on.
Yeah.
Whether or not, whether the information be false or not, people get false information. What I'm saying is, how do you know that ICE didn't go there on the basis of something that was legitimate? That's my question to you.
But it's not.
The answer is you don't know.
No, but it's not legitimate, because if it was legitimate, they would have gotten who they're looking for. It's not legitimate.
So, no, wait a minute. You can operate on a legitimate basis and then get there and then the person is not there, or get there and maybe you got misinformation. It doesn't mean that they made it up and said, oh, we're just going to hunt down people who are here illegally. That's what you're trying to conclude.
Okay,
you don't have enough information. You don't have enough information to make that strong conclusion.
Okay, so then if we're doing raids, right, how come of all the businesses, and there are several businesses on the strip, more than 40 businesses, why did they only go to one establishment?
To the question, that's a question for ICE, not a question for Manfinity. And for you to make a strong conclusion to the opposite, that, oh, they went there because they were target, that's also premature. You don't have enough information to make any strong conclusion. That's what I'm trying to suggest.
But we have the information that this is something that's happening all across the board. They're grabbing people left and right, even grabbing American citizens like, oh, sorry, my bad. They grabbed a vet the other day. We spoke about this. He's like, I'm a vet. I served. I'm a citizen. If we have the resources to go after them, we shouldn't be making errors like this, wasting taxpayer dollars, going to a business.
I agree with you. I agree with you, but I don't have any I never had the expectation that this effort, deportation effort, was going to be executed flawlessly. And that's not to leave them off the hook. They should be held accountable. Anytime they frustrate the life of an American citizen who's just minding their own business, they should be held accountable. They should have to explain for themselves. All of that. But if you had the expectation that this execution was going to be 100% perfect and flawless, I've got a Brooklyn Bridge to sell you. Okay, there's going to be errors. There's going to be mistakes. And I agree with you. There should be. But I'm a project manager. We can have the best of intentions, but when the rubber hits the road, things happen. And we got to. The problem is they continue to do the problem after they've made aware of it. That's another issue. But once they're made aware of an issue, if they try to correct it, give people the grace. Stop acting like they're this Gestapo. They're not.
Well, yeah, but they're moving like a Gestapo, bro. They grabbed a kid in Harlem the other day. People are like, who are you? What is going on? They grabbed the guy coming from court just 2 days ago, went viral. Coming from court, the judge gave him a stay. They still took his ass. He looked like a white man. He looked European. So it's this Gestapo attitude. They're not listening to judges. They're not doing due process. They're just not fucking following the Constitution. Everyone should have a problem with this. They could grab your black ass to say, we don't want to hear shit, we're taking it. You might get out. You might get out.
Sorry, I can't speak loud.
Go ahead.
Did you hear what he said? That Manfinity said, if anything that frustrates the life of an American citizen unnecessarily, we should trash them for that. And I know that you guys don't like that we make a distinction between an American citizen and a legal alien who jumped over the border, but that's where my mind makes a clear delineation. And as a project manager myself, a manager of project managers, we try and implement things to the best efforts that we can. It doesn't mean that you're always looking for the worst intentions, projecting the worst intentions onto these people. Maybe they are trying to do the mission, and these people get caught up in it. That happens. That's okay. And you're going to have that, especially when, think about if you're working at the local Blockbuster Video in 2000 or 1999, and your manager has been letting you smoke weed and shoot smack in the basement of Blockbuster for the last 10 years, and all of a sudden you get a boss who actually cares and knows how to do his job.
of course people are going to be mad. They're like, what the fuck? We used to be able to shoot dope between our toes at the register, and now you're telling me I got to show up to work on time? Like a new boss is in town, a new sheriff is in town. That's going to be uncomfortable for people and make them upset.
It's a great analogy. It's a horrible analogy. I think it makes it's a point that people are upset that we're finally implementing a level of, which is. I'm not upset. I'm not upset. What's wrong with that?
No, I'm not upset about that. Enforce the laws in the book. But again, when people are afraid and people are getting caught up and people that were allowed to stay and all of a sudden like, no, your TPS is people. Why are we doing that? Why are we doing that?
What does the T stand for? TPS.
To admitting
it's
temporary,
but they still need they need hang on. How does that
I'll finish the statement again. You don't just throw your temporary protected status out the window and say get the fuck out of America. Give them due process, especially if they're individuals that are contributing to the economy, working their jobs, and they're not the people that cross the border illegally. Go after them. Why are you going after the people that are actually trying to live out the American dream, are getting up every day, going to work, and following the law? Why go after them?
Because we don't have infinite resources, and we don't have the luxury of just going to here. I'm talking though. We don't have the luxury. We don't have the luxury of just going after this group of people, leaving this group of people alone. It's an all of the above approach because we're in crisis mode. And you don't get that. And you don't understand that. You're not in a position of governing a country. You can sit back on this chair and fold your arms and make all the criticisms that you want. When you're actually in charge of running a country of over 350 million people and there's finite resources and you have to make tough decisions, okay? This is what you get. Bold leadership who's not afraid to make it. You can ask me anything with that. I love that accent.
Please don't scroll.
I love the way she be talking.
Please don't scroll.
Yeah, you can ask me a question anytime.
Let me ask you a question. Do you fully understand how the immigration process
dominating the headlines?
No, not fully.
Okay. Do you know that when somebody comes in, and I'm talking about when somebody comes in
outlining the roads to use,
right? They have no access to public freedom. Contrary to what you guys believe, nobody takes any benefit that is not for an American. Under any circumstance.
I understand that's what it says on paper.
No,
that's not how it's actually written elsewhere.
Yes, it is. Please, Paul, I wasn't born here. I wasn't raised here, right? I came here 17 years ago. I paid taxes when I wasn't even supposed to pay taxes from day one. Because the law in the book says if you're working for a company as a non-US citizen, you don't get to pay tax unless you become a permanent resident or a US citizen. I paid tax into your system for 17 years.
What kind of company? Demons have no.
It doesn't matter because I'm not the one. No, it doesn't. No. Well, I'm not a landscaper because I came here because I got 3 college degrees, 2 undergrad and 1 postgrad. So no, I'm not a landscaper. Right? Okay, so
you have a different experience.
Right.
The majority of people who come across the southern border or any border.
Well, hold on one second. But the point that I'm trying to make is this, right? This is the point that I'm trying to make. You have to have an American citizen that is willing to tell the American government that they will sponsor you for 10 years of your life in these United States, including their families. So when you're saying when you're saying these people are relying on the system, that is not accurate. Because somebody who's American that already has their own family, let's say it's 2.4, right? Let's say it's a 2.4. Now they've got you and somebody else that they've got to show that they're above the poverty line to support you whilst you're here, because they don't. Like, guys, if there's any see, listen, I'm neither Republican nor Democrat. I'm for the right thing, right? One way or the other. You can't just rely on people. I don't wake up in the morning saying, oh, you know, I've lived in America 17 years. I support what this. No, I support the right thing. That's how I live my life. Even when I lived in England, same situation. One thing you guys need to do is go really study your immigration laws and fully understand it before you have these conversations. Because a lot of Americans don't understand the system when it comes to immigration.
I understand the system.
The system's broken, guys. It's broken. It's been broken since I came here. And I've not made it a secret. I've never made it a secret. I've told you guys how much money I've spent with getting to just a green card holder. It's a broken system. And you guys don't have an immigration system. You have a labor issue. It's a labor issue.
Let's not get off the immigration system because you just spent a few minutes talking about it.
No, don't do that, Doctor.
We believe you. No, we got to go with what you just said. We believe you. Right? I have family members who have gone through the legal immigration system. It is cumbersome. It doesn't make 100% total sense. And I believe the things that you're saying. What we're just trying to say, instead of just now lumping all of these groups of people together, we're talking about delineating between somebody like you or even somebody else. We have Ukrainians that work for us. We have Polish that work for us. It's a different situation. Going through the legal immigration process is very difficult, and it doesn't make 100% sense to me. You do have to be sponsored, and it is for 10 years. And there's a lot of other requirements that you have to go through in order to do that. What we're talking about is not you. You are a legal immigrant to this country, and it's harder to do it that way. A lot harder to do it your way, rather than hope that you get some sort of presidential decree that says you're now a citizen. It's a lot harder to go through the system. So we need to change the legal immigration system to be less cumbersome, number one. And number two, we need to not try and lump you in with the 8 million people, 8 to 12 million people that cross the border, southern border, and overstayed their visas in the last 5 years. You're not the same people group. Please don't put yourself in that people group because you're not. That's all we're asking.
But I think but the point was, Manfredi's making it seem like everyone that comes here is bleeding the system, and that's not the case. Everyone that comes here doesn't get food stamps, doesn't get free healthcare. You said it's overwhelming the system. Then what did you mean?
I said we have finite resources, and there are some instances where people who come into this country illegally, and they
define that. What do you mean by finite resources?
We believe you. We gotta go with what you just said. We believe you.
Are not infinite.
Family members
we have
who
a
have gone
finite
through the
amount
legal
that should be
immigration
prioritized.
system.
What do you mean by that? Because when I hear that, I think Medicaid, I think food stamps, I think healthcare. What do you mean?
We're just trying to say
finite resources.
Lumping all these groups of people together. We're talking about delineating between
emergency rooms
like
can get overflooded with people who are here illegally. Emergency rooms, so that means doctors and resources in hospitals in your favorite city along the border or your favorite city anywhere in the country. If you have a population of illegal immigration just plopped in, they're sick will end up in emergency rooms, taking resources away from citizens who need medical attention. Now they got to wait longer. There's got to be more BS in the emergency room. Also, schools. People are here illegally. They have children. Their children are taking up space in the classrooms that could be going to American citizens. Now they're learning in a more crowded environment, making it harder for children to learn. Another resource that is taken advantage of are some of the social benefits that you said don't happen, like food stamps, like Section 8, like the other things. There are emergency programs. I'm not saying that they're just given to them willy-nilly, but there are emergency programs that if they meet certain statuses, if they meet certain priorities and preferences, there are priorities and preferences in these various housing authorities, these food stamp, the food stamp. If you meet certain priorities and preferences, regardless of your immigration status, especially in places like Boston, especially in places like New York that are overrun with Democrat, liberal, left-leaning government leadership, okay, they want these people to be absorbed into the system and supported. And I understand what it says, that these people shouldn't be. I wasn't done talking, though. I Anyway, another resource to this thing. Yeah, come on now. So the thing is that I understand your point, Divine. The letter of the law may say, oh, illegal immigrants, they don't get this and they don't get that. But when you look under the hood and you see how things are actually in practice, like, for instance, voting, okay? You're not supposed to vote if you're not a citizen. But in certain places, if now that you're an illegal immigrant, you can get a driver's license. Now the system can't delineate between someone who has a license versus a citizen, and they're being allowed to vote. Just because the letter of the I'm just trying to become a big just because the letter of the law says one thing, implementation is being done differently at the under the hood level. And I want you guys to understand that there are illegal immigrants in this country receiving federal, state, and city benefits and using it to the degree that it's taking away from American citizens who deserve it more. Thank you, Jesus.
I'd like to clarify a point with regard to your driver's license that you just mentioned. While sanctuary cities will give driver's license, right? Those licenses are actually labeled. They're different to the license you get as an American citizen. So no, you cannot vote.
Not here in Massachusetts.
Not in New York.
No.
It's no different at all, and it automatically registers you. Automatically.
Not in California either. Anyone can vote in California. Anyone can vote in any state. Stop telling us what's true. We're going to send it to Grok and do a fact check.
We live here. We're telling you. And you say no. And you've got your fingers
It's
in
called
your
absentee ballot. Absentee ballot, love.
Arguing with people committed to misunderstanding you, and Ricky, you look
Because
like
that's what we do. This is where we live. This particular issue in New York, California, and Massachusetts is completely and 100% true. This is the way.
Bollocks, that's not true. She knows the truth. You're not listening.
Okay, it's not true. Okay, they can go to jail for voting, and that's the quickest.
It's called absentee ballot.
Sent up out of hell, even locked up. Illegal immigrants cannot vote.
There was a motion in New York State, or I think it was in New York City, that allowed them to be a part of local elections.
No,
illegal.
not true.
I can give you the headline.
Not
so
true.
they can be in. Okay, it's not true.
So now we believe news. Oh, we believe news.
All the news is fake news, love.
This is on the state.
It's all spam, including this room, except for Manfitini. He's telling you the truth, and you're all just spamming us with your lies.
Yeah, I understand what's going on. Not true.
Oh, stop with your spam and your lies. It's all communication is spam, and all you're doing is spamming us with your fucking lies.
I don't understand.
Shut your fucking mouth.
Sounds like you believe the propaganda.
You believe the propaganda?
What did I say that was propaganda?
No, not you, Manfitini. You're telling us the truth. These other non-native English speakers, these non-Americans are lying, spamming us with their propaganda, wasting our fucking time.
I don't know why I can't move people to the audience.
Firstly, you don't even know if you're Scottish, Irish, Scouse, Australian, South African. Go ahead.
I can't move anyone to the audience. I can't mute individual people. This is terrible.
Yeah, it's because it's public. Let's play fair, guys. He has no control.
You can mute the whole stage. You can mute the whole stage if you want to mute that. I can mute the whole stage, but I can't mute the individuals, and I can't move people to the audience.
Oh, what a shame, Manfitini. Well, now I can always come back under an anonymous account and continue listening to all the spam and lies that this app generates, minute to minute.
I'm sorry. We're going to give the microphone. We're going to give the microphone to Monica. And if you keep interrupting, I will have to remove you from the room, and I don't want to do that to anyone. Monica, what were you saying?
The three dots to the top right, just change the settings of the room to anyone can join the stage. You have it set to no one needs an invite. You change it.
Hand raising. Turn hand raising on. Yeah. That'll change the price. No one can. Everyone, hold on. Hand raising. Speaker, which should I put it? Everyone can, speakers, friends can, or no one can?
Everyone can.
Everyone can. It's boring. It's just your friends talk.
Okay,
And
so now that I've changed
you
it.
can move down without having to remove people.
Oh, this is great. I love me some Monica. Thank you, Jesus.
He's like, he figured out the goo. He figured out the goo.
I got control of the room. Y'all keep messing with me, I'm kicking you down.
I just Googled it, Manfinity. It's not true in New York. They cannot vote. They cannot register to vote. They cannot vote in New York.
They can't vote in any state full stop, so I'm not even wasting time acknowledging that. You can't do it.
They only changed that in the last year. They literally changed that in the last year.
Where have they changed it to?
I can't even
In New York. New York made it a law that they when they said that you could vote on for the state and local elections, they meant it. They made it a law. It got changed back again last year.
Yes, they did.
Crazy.
Really? Really?
It's not. Put up a shot. Don't need the law.
So I will tell you, according to Reuters, I'll post it, New York City law allowing non-citizens to vote has been struck down by the court. But that was the case for at least 2 or 3 years there in the Biden administration. I'm gonna listen. I didn't make it up, man. I just read it to you.
They tried to make a law, and
it happened.
It never happened. It never happened.
But why do you? Okay, so you think the people that wanted to do it, you think they went away? Those crazy people that want illegal non-citizens to vote are still alive and well, and they're living in your government.
They never have been allowed to vote, and they never.
Okay.
Yes,
I
they were.
True. Let's read it.
No, they were not. They were not allowed to vote.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Does it trouble you that they wanted to vote?
Show me where they were allowed to vote, and I'll shut up. Because you guys.
New York City.
Not true.
Well, saying it's not true doesn't mean it's not true.
So prove that it's true. Prove it.
It's literally reading you a Reuters freaking article because it was a law. It got hold on. See, you're not letting me finish my sentence. You're not letting me finish my sentence. They made it a law, and then they put it on the books, and then it got contested, and it took them 2.5 years for it to go through the Court of Appeals for them to strike it down. But for that time that it was on the books, people were allowed to vote on local and state level. Oh, Jesus, bro.
All right, divine. All right, we're gonna shoot Wait a minute. No one else should be speaking. I want to hear how Divine responds to what Doc just said. No one else should speak.
I'm in New York. Quick Google search. It was never on the books. It never happened.
Okay, Alan would like to say something. Everyone, please be quiet. Alan?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Rachel. Please allow Alan to speak.
Hey, how are you? And
my friend Alan.
I ask Grok. Non-citizens are generally not allowed to vote in U.S. federal and state elections as voting in these elections, blah, 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 blah. However, some local jurisdictions in the U.S. have passed measures allowing non-citizens to vote in specific municipal elections, such as for city council, school boards, or local ballot measures. Okay, California, San Francisco, since 2016, non-citizens who are parents or guardians of children in the school system can vote in school boards. This was reaffirmed by voters in 18 and 20. Oakland, I'll just read off the cities. Berkeley, Maryland, Tacoma Park, Hyattsville, College Park, Monterey County, Vermont, Burlington, Montpelier, and Winooski, New York. In 2021, the New York City Council passed a law allowing non-citizens with legal permanent residency or work authorization to vote in municipal elections. For instance, for mayor, city council, and local ballot measures. This would apply to approximately 300,000 non-U.S. citizens. However, the law has faced legal challenges in the state appeals court ruling unconstitutional in 2022 as of 2025. So from 21 to 22, it was allowed Washington, D.C., also allowed it in 22.
Stop for a second. Alan, what is your source? What are you reading from? Excuse me. I want to know where Alan... Excuse me. Alan, where are you reading that from?
Grok on X.
What is that?
Grok. They're AI. Instead of Google, I use that.
Grok? I've never heard of Grok.
Yeah,
Go
Grok
on X.
Yeah, it's the X
Okay,
version
so
of AI.
Divine, I want no one else to respond. Divine, how do you respond to what Alan
Legal, he said it, legal permanent residency. You guys said illegal immigrants are voting. That's what you said.
I said non-citizens.
Let me read it again. However, again, the synopsis. However, some local jurisdictions in the U.S. have passed measures allowing non-citizens. Whether you have legal residency does not make you a citizen. You can.
Okay, but the part you read was under New York. You're applying that to
the
whole thing.
Well, if you're
read the New York part again. I was listening.
Okay, all right. I'll read the New York one. Let me go. In 2021, the City Council passed a law allowing non-citizens with legal permanent residency. They're still
legal permanent
They're
residency.
still not citizens. That means we're letting you stay, but you're not a citizen. The law says if you are not a citizen, you can leave at any time. You want to vote in this country, commit to this country and the Constitution, and then you can go in that ballot box. Until you make that commitment, go away, you don't get to vote.
But you'll take the tax that they pay, right? They can go away.
Yeah, are you getting the benefit of working in this country? Are you getting the benefit that pay the tax?
Okay, so Divine, do you concede to the point that there's
an
effort?
You guys
Wait a minute, let me ask the question. Don't tell me no when I didn't ask the question yet. I didn't get to ask you the question. Do you concede to the point that there is an effort to allow non-citizens to vote in this country?
You're changing the question. You're changing it, but yeah. You said 5 minutes ago, illegal immigrants are voting. Now you're changing it to non-citizens with legal status. Like, if they're paying taxes, yes, they should be allowed to vote. If they have legal status, and they're going to get due process, allow them to vote in local elections. Why not? City council, city council, school boards, things of that nature, things that affect their day-to-day life. We say it all the time on these stages. Local elections matter. That's what really matters.
So let me ask you a question, Alan. In what you read, does that allow for? I know in New York it was the permanent legal status, but like in San Francisco, I didn't grasp what you mentioned there. Is that the same thing, or did that allow for illegal immigrants?
Okay, in San Francisco. There was non-citizens who are parents or guardians of the children in the school system can vote in school board elections. That in Oakland, they approved a measure that non-citizens, including legal residents and undocumented immigrants, to vote in local elections for city council, mayor, school board, starting in 24. And in 22, Berkeley voters approved a measure to allow non-citizens to vote in municipal elections, though implementation is pending legal clarifications. So in all cases, they're saying non-citizens. As far as they're working in this country, congratulations. You are now in a country that gives you greater opportunities. If you would like to participate fully, first of all, come here legally, because there are plenty of people who are willing to wait their turn to come here legally, and just because you can walk across the border doesn't give you the right to cut in line and take jobs from the people who want to obey the law. And second of all, again, working here, you're participating in the country, you can pay taxes, and when you fully commit to being a citizen and upholding the Constitution and obeying the laws, well, then you should get to vote. And local elections do make a difference. And if a county suddenly gets, as Biden did this, suddenly gets a wave of immigrants from pick any country and they get to vote in local elections and school boards, well, suddenly you're going to see school boards that don't reflect the actual citizens that are in that county or local.
Can we? That is not conjecture.
So how many of you?
Divine, can I go? I mean,
hold on one second, please. I'll give it right back to you. How many of you Americans are actually standing in line for the minimal jobs that these foreigners come here and do?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Oh no, it does.
We can talk about it afterwards.
No, it does.
We're discussing the value of
stand in line for those minimal jobs, so it does matter.
Why?
We are discussing.
Let me say one thing real quick.
Hold on, I would say,
Doctor, I'm going to ask you.
I'll go after you.
Yeah, so, all of this could have been alleviated, because I remember there was a bill that wanted to hire enough border agents, enough judges, and enough manpower to sort all of this out. But they chose to not vote on that bill, and they chose to give money to Ukraine. They chose to give money to Israel. They chose to do everything but deal with this crisis because they did not want Joe Biden to have the win of securing the border and having enough judges to process these cases. And now we're dealing with this conundrum of a catastrophe right now. With that, I land.
Okay, thank you. Man, finish.
And after you talk,
Doctor Responsible, do the honors. Please, just sweep that under the
so
rug
much.
right now. Jesus
Thank you
Christ.
so much. Divine, it might make a fantastic headline to see this bill that I would puke all over and then throw it in the garbage, to see that be repelled by Republicans. It might make a great headline, and listen, you guys have been working off of that headline for about 8 months at this point, right? And that's fine. You think it's a great bill. You think that adding more judges is going to fix the problem. You think that shortening the time of the people's stay, of the time that they have to wait before their hearing will fix something. You feel that adding more border agents for that sole purpose will fix something. I don't think that will fix anything. The only thing that will fix anything is the Remain in Mexico policy, which I've been touting like a fucking parrot on this stage for 2 fucking years. Because of our illegal immigration laws, because of our immigration laws, I should say, once a person's pinky toe, no matter what color it is, white, black, ching chong ching, purple, Asian, whatever it is, once that pinky toe touches American soil, that person is afforded a gigantic amount of rights under our asylum law, right? So they're untouchable at that point. So the only way to fix that problem is to stop them from putting the pinky toe on the soil of the United States in the first place. That is the only way to fix the problem, because we are outdone. Once the person steps over the U.S. border, there's nothing a president can do to fix this. This is now in the realm of the bureaucracy, where that person will be given a court date. That court date will be 6 months away, or if the bill that you love so much got passed, maybe it's 4.5 months away. That is not a win. And that is why the Republicans, among many reasons, maybe it was to stay loyal to Trump. Fuck if I know. Happy if they did. That is why they didn't vote for it. Because we've had 35 years of this nonsense from Republicans. No, I'm not even talking about the Democrats. I'm talking about Republicans. The Republicans that are America First stood up and said, I'm not voting for that shit because it isn't going to fix dick. Now, in your own mind, you can have fun and explain that as, they're in a cult and they're just, praising the master and they're doing blood sack, whatever you want to say about it. You can say, and I'm okay with that. I'll deal with the repercussions. Hold on a second, children.
No, who the fuck?
Hold on a second.
Legislators are on.
I'll tell your black ass to go to the audience. Respect yourself.
What?
Anyway, stop interrupting Raven, if you would. So anyway,
that gets down to that point. We don't see it the same as you. There was no great, beautiful immigration bill. This was just another attempt, a bill written by Republicans in the first place, who were pieces of shit, brought to the House by other piece of shit Republicans and Democrats, and now you expect us to just go ahead and sign it? No.
The link sharing thing can be useful, but it's just a troll to a yoga account.
Yeah, I mean, I signed up for the anonymous ability, and I could care less. It's in fact, if I get kicked from a room, generally the mods are saving me the time. So I don't know why I would pay $5 to live stream chillism all day, but the fact that people are here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, gives you some consistency if you are looking to essentially scrape content.
Well, the feature that I think I'm surprised you don't like is the fact that you can now link to you can link to different URLs. So that's valuable to the people who are in the service industry in some capacity as entrepreneurs, or make products or something. That's worth going.
Yeah, you can promote your OnlyFans.
That too.
I keep breaking the servers on my OnlyFans.
Okay, so Edmund, how does this screw you up or help you?
It's pointless. I mean, I'm just consuming spam like you. I mean, this app is literally just spam, and it doesn't help me or hurt me. I'm wasting my time here, but I don't know. It's funny today. I was thinking, I'm like, if it was the end of the world, I'd still probably prefer to listen to random people have random conversations than turn the television on, or just there's so many alternatives to what you're listening to on a 24-hour cycle. So I don't know. I find it interesting content to live stream because YouTube, I have, 10 YouTubes going, and sometimes they pop and you get, thousands of views. But again, there's no interest as to like what app is that, or who are they?
Edmund,
What are they talking
if you're in a room under anonymous, if I'm understanding what Jasper told me, you can't be removed, right?
Yeah, so it throws, I'm probably one of the most thrown out people in all the rooms. So if there's like a big room, I mean, that's the thing is I have 5 accounts. I would rather just spend the $15 to get a new account on a new burner phone than even sign up for the monthly. It's like I would just rather invest in a new Clubhouse account. So their model doesn't impact me as a consumer and user of their model. I would rather just create a new Clubhouse account than do any kind of subscription for these fuckers. One account.
So there's like an anon in the room. I don't know who this is. But the person can't even put in the chat like they're testing it. So
yeah, it's just
that person just will live in the room.
Yeah, and this is the thing.
You can't click on them. You can't do nothing. Just click on this.
No. But honestly, haven't all of the most dramatic conversations already happened? I mean, if there's a war or something, major conflict escalation, I mean, there's times where certain speakers here may have interesting insight. And as someone, it's like you got to do all the work. You got to go through the hallway, try to find, what you think is the high value content. And all this shit on this app and all these other rooms are so, I hate to say it, but, it's not even I hate to say it. I don't know. It's low value content. It's not intelligence. It's just, it's a certain demographic.
Well, now I get to go spy on people with the anonymous thing.
I'm thinking this could be interesting. I'm going to try it now. All right, I'll be back.
It does like force people to clean up their speech, I think, which is probably the best component of it. But it's also, can it create some like legal problems? I mean, to have this anonymous listener where there's no, like tracing or sourcing. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think
people. Having anonymous listeners is gonna. I think it's gonna end the app because people are just gonna be too cautious.
Not really. There are people on here who love to throw shit to the wind or throw shit to the wall, see what sticks. I mean, because that's the I proved that the premise of anonymous is redundant because you can just create an infinite amount of very agnostic accounts where no one can identify it. And the thing is, I've listened to all of the interesting conversations or all the supposed interesting people. It's all just spam. So there's no reason to, invest in a monthly or annual subscription to this stupid platform. I mean, there's just not, because you can create a new burner for $15 and create an agnostic profile that the mods can't necessarily detect unless they cross-reference and go to my live and confirm it's me and they say, yep, that's fucking Edmund. That's the thing. It's like, but I'm the only loser doing it. So, how many people are going to sign up for this stupid shit? A couple hundred people? Wow. Moving fucking mountains with hundreds of subscribers at $5, $7 a month. Wow.
Well, wait, isn't this good for you? The fact that you could have these anonymous accounts and you can go in and no one will remove you?
No, well, that's my point. Is I would rather just spend the money on creating a new account and not attaching it to anything and play that game again. Because for me, it's a game.
Oh, I see.
It's like a game for me. So when somebody detects me and they say, that's fucking Edmund, kick him. I mean, but I'm just who they assume every time. I've conditioned people on this app in this little micro universe. And
Evan, you made no truer statement, because every troll I see, no matter what, I believe it's you. I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but you're the number one suspect of everybody.
Yeah, I mean, so that's my point. Is like, this isn't gonna move a mountain. This isn't gonna move a needle. Well, wow, they're making like, say they get 1,000 people to even sign up monthly. It's like $7,000 a month. Do you know how much they spend in fucking server costs on this stupid app a day compared to seven? Like, the model doesn't work. If they don't empower the creators here and give them a revenue share, fuck them and fuck their stupid platform and fuck their stupid business model. Like, make this an economy. They don't make this an economy. I mean, make this a fucking economy, a place where people can actually earn a living, and then it'll get some fucking traction. They need to turn it into Patreon or something, it's totally pointless.
We were getting traction. Somebody changed the title, which is totally fine, but we were getting traction with my title.
Hey, I'm guilty, and you're definitely right. When I changed it, I thought it might help, but it definitely hurt the room.
Oh, okay. It's fine. I was just curious.
Yeah, I just thought, like, since we were talking about that.
No, I think that was right.
I felt, no, it was actually wrong. It was a good thought, but it was the wrong move.
Edmund, the one advantage of using the anonymous option as it is like access to houses. So if someone opens rooms that are only for house members, you can go into a room anonymous if you're a house member. You can't otherwise, but it doesn't really matter for a bunch of the houses that like don't have any limitations on who can join.
Yeah, I mean, if you could just fully automate the scraping of this stupid app and then have it auto post to YouTube, that would be cool. It's kind of complicated to do, but I'm sure it could be done. But it always requires a manual entry of some sort, so it's just not worth it.
Club Deck wasn't, like, I haven't used it in 3 years, but Club Deck wasn't that hard to use.
Yeah, I have there's a guy on here who, records rooms and posts it to a YouTube channel called How to Waste Your Time. And it's got all of the rooms, like a lot of big rooms. I mean, he has captured a lot of big rooms, but there's a thing, it's just like, it and I know it, that this app is just a drop of water. I mean, it's totally insignificant. It's just fucking chatter. That's all it is. It's spam.
Spam with feelings.
I mean, going into the election, there was more value in the app. Absolutely, at that point, going into the election with Kamala and Trump, like that was after that, it's like, see, this app does have this like propaganda social aspect to it, but it's only like, more relevant and important at like peak times. So what does that tell you? I mean, that it's all spam.
I don't know. It was more entertaining, in 2020, 2021. It was humorous when there was like late night rooms with like 6 people and Matt Gaetz in a room.
Yeah. Lex Fridman was funny on here. I was recording him, and he got furious with me that I was recording his conversations. He was messaging, "Not cool, bro. Not cool to record me without my permission, bro."
He was ultra sensitive, and like I don't know why people deified him so fucking much on this app. It was so goddamn annoying that I found him absurdly dull conversationally.
So is Pink Taco gonna make an appearance? Because I do like Pink Taco's rooms. Those are fun rooms.
This is his room.
Do you think it's rude, Dr. Jordan, if a woman demands that you wear a condom, but she also demands that you provide oral sex to her? Like, as a man, what's more valuable? The tip of your penis or your throat?
I think it's unfair, but I don't think it's rude.
It's unfair, yeah. But all is fair in love and war. So what do you think about Trump saying, "I'm talking to Putin and he's gone crazy," and he's launching these attacks while we're talking? So how do you view,
Well, actually,
that
what
statement?
I think is funny is, I don't mean to change the subject, but I was on the treadmill today when I saw breaking news scroll across CNN that Barron Trump did not apply to Harvard, and it just, the way it was taken out of context, or I took it out of context, but it was hysterical. But go ahead, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, why people think Harvard is all that great. I mean, but anyways, it's just that brand name recognition, and I guess that Rolodex, because I was thinking today, even if I were to go through, I have like these alumni directories, and I was like, man, how I could probably raise a lot of money out of this alumni directory, for a political campaign. So there is a certain aspect to having a an Excel sheet of contacts, but that's like if you even work it. I mean, most people never even retroactively, I mean, how do you use your networks like outside of this app? I mean, have you ever done alumni stuff or mass communication to people?
Well, I mean, I like LinkedIn. I mean, I don't really get involved in alumni affairs. I probably should, but I don't.
Yeah, I don't use LinkedIn anymore. They deleted my account. At one point, I think I had like almost 20,000 connections on there because I was just like every day going add. And but again, it's just like all spam. That's what it comes down to. I mean, if you were to tell us like how much communication you've had to spend on there, how much revenue you've generated from there, I mean, you'd probably be like, yeah, hasn't been as great as I thought it would be, or maybe you have a big success story. I don't know, or you have consistent, revenue growth on there. But is that even happening for you?
LinkedIn has been helpful recently, but they're all saturated, and they're all it just becomes more and more competitive. It's a rat race to kind of get your brand out there and get the visibility and get opportunities. So,
Yeah, LinkedIn is kind of annoying in the sense that so many people's lives are just like dedicated to, managing that LinkedIn, adding new things, new activities, new prestige, new, and then they're always forward looking to their future job prospects. If this corporation lays me off, I can now represent myself as an information, advertising technology lawyer who's worked at Yahoo, worked at then you got to find the new corporation, the new job, start working on all their work. Maybe bring new business, basically. So everybody ends up becoming a business consultant, or a chief revenue officer to a certain extent. It's like fundraising, basically. So I don't know. There are some people who are very personable, and if you happen to go to their event and you're worth a couple $100 million, you might become a donor.
Well, you're right that LinkedIn, they've come up with every kind of way for people to funnel clients, but everybody's doing the same thing, and they're these newsletter things. Everybody's got people signed up on their newsletter. There's no way that people have the amount of time to read other people's newsletters and create their own, and it's just too much information. It's voluminous, in my opinion. And then you've got groups, you've got private and like Facebook, you've got private and public groups, and you've got this. It's a lot.
I agree. It's just information overload. I'm using X a lot, and I've been asking Grok a lot of questions. And that has been an interesting form of content generation.
How's the Adrian Titman stuff going?
I've rebranded everything Republican, because I figure that's like a brand that's never going away. And so to have like a bunch of Republican digital assets is, basically a political consulting and spamming business. But the Adrian Dittman stuff, he does still hold. He holds private rooms for subscribers only on X, and then he's also doing sometimes a Saturday room. But
well, wait a second. You just told me you weren't going to pay for this app, this new thing.
Not here. I'm saying on X. If you want.
No, but you're not paying. You told me you weren't going to pay for this on Clubhouse.
I did. Yeah, I just signed up for it to test it, and then I canceled the subscription.
I see.
Yeah, it's stupid. I've had a lot of fun with this app and bouncing around, but I have they took down one of my YouTube accounts recently, which had thousands and thousands of Clown House recordings, but I don't know. I have approaching 20,000 videos on YouTube, 15,000 videos on Instagram. It would be so nice if YouTube had a way to.
What about how often you record on Twitter?
I've been recording a lot of anti-Semitic, racist, low IQ pieces of shit on there in a room called JQ Radio, which is Jewish Question Radio. And all they do is talk about Adolf Hitler, his speeches, the Jews, everything and anything. And they have weird how guests come in. I don't know if you know Brother Nathaniel. He's this like Russian Orthodox. He's Jewish, and he's from Brooklyn, and he's a self-hating Jew. He hates Jews, and he's a self-professed. He's insane. But the point is, these are little like hot spots of hate and extreme hate and racism and toxic communication. Total waste of time. But I like to go in there, ring my bell, and just remind them how they're all wasting their time and just spamming each other. So, doing that type of social audio activism, I feel like is fun because people recognize it and they go, fuck, he's right. I'm wasting my time here. Fuck. People start questioning what they're doing in these rooms and why they're listening or talking or posting shit in the chat. I mean, so, I don't know, it's just fun to like troll people who have really bad ideas and takes. And, I don't know, I think they're like living in their own little universe of misery. Again, essentially misery loves company. That's what happens in a lot of these toxic communication rooms.
Why don't you educate people? Why don't you?
I do on YouTube. I have millions of views of people that have listened to me reading books on YouTube. I create shorts, 1 minute, 3 minute clips of me reading books, and that's my educational contribution.
You should post that on Clubhouse.
It's all just algorithm, No, nobody here is ever going to see it. I mean, you could go to my YouTube and actually look at my YouTube and listen to me reading a variety of wisdom-based books.
What are the? Don't take this wrong. What are some of the titles
of the books?
Yes.
Look at my PTR, A Treasury of Polish Aphorisms. I'm not being facetious or actually joking. I mean, this book is really pretty amazing. And I was reading it to El Normo yesterday, and I told him that it was Jewish aphorisms. You can't tell the difference. They're just aphorisms. I don't know. They're Polish, but because they come from Polish translations, but the aphorisms, I have a couple books on aphorisms, and a lot of these things are like universal knowledge, basically.
You would get following if you would on Clubhouse. Not that you need it. If you'd read a book like Black Rage or White Rage, racist shit. I'm sorry, racist book.
Yeah, I don't know. This racist communication industry is. I saw this one African American lady give like a 4-hour seminar on structural racism and white guilt, and it was just. And I don't have the video anymore. It was like a Google talk or whatever. But basically, it's just the communication industry. I mean, all this DEI stuff and all these education scams are it's like it's toxic communication, and it's just it's political and it's business and it's sick, but it's what people do, because communication is like a commodity, and I talked to my mom today. She's like, I've heard everything. I've seen everything. So people do feel like they have, not seen anything new. And I think DEI and critical race theory and all this communication industry and the educational industrial complex is spam. And it's, you can witness it here on this app, and it's just racist, toxic communication. And
yeah, but the academics eat that crap up.
Well, I heard these people talking about white guilt. Well, not people, but it was Bill Maher and Tim Pool talking about the reason why like North Chicago voted for Brandon Johnson is because the Loyola North Shore snobs of Chicago experienced white guilt. I'm thinking like, I don't even know if that's true. I mean, it's like another reframe. It's like talking about, trans and genders or even gay. I mean, everything is political. So all communication is spam, and it's almost all political. There's very little actual wisdom ever communicated on this app. It's like, 0.001%. So
at least you moved away from hypnosis. That was a healthy move.
yeah, but when I say hypnosis, it's more of like saying it's just propaganda. That's all I'm really saying. All communication is propaganda. It's all political. It's all spam. It's all hypnosis. I mean, but it's not hypnosis. Hypnosis is, it's something in a neurolinguistic programming book I read, that the Society of NLP declared in 1985 that all communication is hypnosis. And what that means is the brain doesn't reject whatever it's listening to, and it's sitting there storing it, processing it. So in a way, it's like essentially giving you a program. So that's why if you read a book, it's basically a program, and you actually have to read it, and that's why an app like this is like propaganda real time. I mean, imagine if Joseph Goebbels had Clown House and all of Germany came on the cell phone at the same time to listen to his messaging. Well, they did. It was called the radio. But there was no feedback. The audience can't talk back. The audience can't troll. The audience can't come in and just ring a bell. I mean, it's all push information. So it's group versus crowd, communication.
In the game is being played, and he wants to find her before she learns how to read. But it's a compliment for her, even though she never got the opportunity to really see what she deserves in life. A lot of times, those women get with a man where if she grew to her full potential, she would have never accepted him. He would be a man where he, like, whatever he became, she actually would have been like, nah, he's my type. So it's almost like predatorial. So even though you say it's a compliment for a woman to get married as young as possible, to dedicate her life towards a family, if that were universally true, then how come the man is 40?
Hello?
Well, okay, so you said, okay. What I'm saying is, it looks like, I'm just looking, again, as an observer, looking at that dynamic, I don't see it negative. Because, again, we're talking about things here.
So, would you like to end your, are you finished up, Mike?
No,
I think Jarl was, is it Jarl or is it Jarl? I'm sorry, Jarl.
Technically it's Jarl, but whichever, yeah.
You see, even the name Jarl is a little bit of a pansy name, I must say. But Mike Moon would like to finish his input.
For the benefit of Doctor, I want to say that I'm pleasantly surprised by the things Trump's doing in his second administration. I see him as an agent of change, a change that was necessary to the status quo of the United States of America. Whether or not you like him personally, we have been doing much of the same thing for a very long time, and increasingly so, countries, especially European countries, decide somehow that they're our fucking equals, and they're not our fucking equals. We've always been their fucking daddy. We've always taken care of them. We've always been the fucking leader. We still are the fucking leader. And when we hear that America's somehow losing favor,
Fucking leader, right?
It doesn't matter if America's not losing power. If they're losing favor, if people are going to whine more about us than they used to, they're still going to rely on us when shit hits the fan. They always have. They always fucking will, at least for the near future. And the reality is we haven't gotten weaker by standing our fucking ground, turning inward, and paying more attention to ourselves for a little bit. And there's a lot of things Trump's doing that make a lot of fucking sense to me. Taking money away from Harvard and putting it into fucking trade schools sounds like a great idea, okay? Tariffs on the movie industry to start freaking coming back to the United States, making the movies here. I live in Atlanta, right? We built giant studios for Marvel to film their shit, and then they ran off to fucking England as soon as they got 5% more royalties or paid over there, or discounts. So the reality is this: get them the fuck back, or they can go pay twice as much to go overseas.
It's the same with Canada, by the way. Canada's 35%. Fuck them. So there's a lot of shit he's doing to basically say, listen, let's reevaluate and figure out what the fuck to do in America. He's doing things, okay? Now, whether or not these things pan out, whether or not these things end up being good or bad for America, a lot of this shit, I'm almost done.
Congress, let this American citizen speak, you fucking dirt napper. Go ahead.
A lot of this shit that's going on is new.
Congress, you can go. Congress, I will allow you to go, but you just have to wait your turn. You can't jump the line. You can't cross the border that way. Please allow Mike Moon finish.
I apologize, please.
But there's a lot of shit.
Mike Moon,
I'll wrap it up. There's a lot of shit he's doing that it remains to be seen how it's going to pan out. We don't know. But the fact that something's being done to look at these things from a new perspective is very important to me, that it gets done. And if he's an agent of change to start the process, and now we think a little more about things in ways we haven't considered before, I'm totally good with that. Whether we end up with another Republican or Democrat in the White House doesn't really make a difference to me. I just want something that will continue focusing on America. And it appears that he kind of knows what he's doing this time around a hell of a lot more than he knew the first time. The first time he's a little bit like fucking what do you call? I don't know. He was out of his league. He didn't know what the fuck to do. But the first time, the second time, he kind of got it figured out, and he's doing some shit now, and he's being very deliberate about it, and he's being strong. And if people don't like that strength, or they say they don't like it, in the end, when shit hits the fan, they want it. So fuck the rest of the countries that have a problem with it. Let's kick ass. Go America.
All right, Jarl. Congress, you're up next, but I want to give second for Jarl, or I think it should be Jarl, but
wait,
if you want to be fancy, we'll say Jarl.
Can I say 10 seconds? Can I say 10 seconds?
Sure.
Bro, I will just say this. Mike has been very anti-Trump, as he would tell you, for 5 years at this point. At least
I don't remember that. I don't remember Mike Moon.
He's a guy who puts his heart on his sleeve. He believes, and then he goes and puts it out there. And he didn't even say anything that Trump is good or Trump is great or anything like that. But just him giving a chance to let the guy do his thing, and then we can judge him on the basis of the results. I mean, this is like breaking my heart right now in a good way, and I appreciate it.
It's called having a wait and see attitude rather than the left, who has an I already know attitude, arrogant, and that's the difference.
Yeah, I don't know what I don't know, and I'm open minded. That's what it is.
Absolutely. So Jarl, if you'd like to respond, or Jarl, if you'd like to respond, very quickly, we'd like Congress to voice his concerns.
Sure, I'll be super brief. So obviously I disagree with Canadians being pansies, but you guys are allowed your opinions. Just really quickly, the Hollywood thing I think is interesting, because Hollywood to me is like the industry that America, like movies specifically, that America like dominates. There's not a single country that comes close to making entertainment like America. So it's just like crazy to me. I don't see how terrifying like American movies made in other countries is going to help, right? iPhone or Apple was the largest company in the world without making their phones in America, and I think that I just don't see why bringing back production is going to help America. That's not like what America's strong at. America's good at innovation and technology, not manufacturing. But anyways,
thank you,
Congress. Can I just say really quick? It's going to bring back jobs. I'm in the industry, and the jobs have been decimated here from all this shit. So it's going to bring back jobs in that case.
Yeah, let me go after Congress.
Yeah, before we go back to Congress, Jarl, it's going to bring back. I understand you can do two things at once. You can innovate while at the same time employing your people to the point where we're not living in parts of the country were devastated when industries left. So you've got to have a balance, and I understand that you think that innovation is the only way, but it's not the only way. It's a both and approach. But let's move to Congress. Congress, you'd like to provide. I'm sorry. Please wait your turn. We have Congress up next, and then Alan, and then maybe Cry Rachel, and then Abby. Congress, what would you like to say?
So, all right, thank you much, of course. Being called names here, that's absolutely right. But then when we talk about President Trump coming into the picture, when we look at his history and what he's done, see, US, of course, is a state which will poke nose into situations when they're not having anything to do with. I mean, these guys come into the picture when they talk about India and Pakistan, and then they say that no, India did the right thing. Yet, they your premier is okay signing a deal with Pakistan, with a lot of other countries when they so just to give you an idea, trade policies, Trump's when we look at him, bigger picture.
I'm sorry, I'm going to let you finish, but you have to. I want you to be clear. What is your input? What point are you trying to establish? Because I'm getting lost in what you're saying.
See,
what is your main point, and then I need you to try to establish it. What are you trying to get across?
U.S. has seen better leaders who've actually helped the entire global hemisphere. But then when we talk about Trump, someone who is a menace in his own life, it's weird. And
so
then,
your point is that Trump is not a good leader?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, and what's the strongest example of Trump not being a good leader? Something that he's done in the last 100 days or so.
Him saying that India is a very good friend, blah blah blah, and the recent attack in Pahalgam, what happened?
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time understanding you. What did he say that I'm having a hard time understanding your English. So tell me, what did he do that makes him such a bad leader? One more time.
Simply put through, him funding Pakistan, him funding Turkey, and India being very vocal about the fact that we've had these situations, and we're sharing that Turkey is involved, Pakistan is involved, and yet US signing a deal with Turkey for
But this is an example of his poor leadership to you. Can anyone translate to me what's happening? What did he do in Turkey or in Pakistan that makes him such a... I don't understand. Alan, wait a minute. I'm appointing Alan to translate what Congress is saying in very short, brief terms. Please, Alan.
Yeah. I mean, I understand what he's saying, and I actually, on this point, I agree. I don't like Trump's position when it comes to his support of Turkey, and I understand if he's making, I didn't know this, if he's making deals with Pakistan, no, I don't like that either. And that's one of the things I had to consider when I was voting. So, yeah, I mean, Turkey has been instrumental in, though it doesn't get any press, it's been instrumental in a lot of the unbalance and problems in the Middle East. And Trump is supporting them. So I think that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, we
Okay. So, it looks like Congress appreciates your...
I'm sorry, dot heads. We should be supporting the dot heads. The Indian people are a great market. They're great people who love our country. And Trump tried to do this in his first term. He tried to really make deals with India, and we should continue on that path. The Pakistanis.
Congress seems to be
go with the dot heads in India.
Yeah, Congress seems to be saying that he's upset with Trump's leadership as it relates to him poking his nose into other foreign affairs, namely support of Turkey and support of Pakistan. Thank you for your input. Let's move on to Alan. Alan wanted to say something, and then I want to see what Cry Race
I just wanted to echo.
I'm sorry, Congress wants to finish. Congress, can you please complete your input? I may have cut you off. Really quickly, just finish your statement, Congress.
Yeah, absolutely. See, you're very well put through. You're not able to understand what I'm saying here. And obviously, your language, my language, we're different. But then everyone else is able to understand what I'm saying. So you're a racist piece of...
Shit.
I know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll be a racist piece of shit. I just didn't understand what you were saying. honestly, it was sincere. But I appreciated Alan explaining it to me. Just because we don't understand each other all the time, I still want to understand and see what you're trying to say. There was nothing underhanded with what I did there. But anyways, Alan would like to say something. Alan has an input.
Yeah,
we're moving to Cry Racial and then Abby. Alan, go ahead.
Yeah, I just say quickly, Mike is right, and talking about the tariffs on Hollywood. We have seen in the entertainment industry in California, jobs were going away since, the late 80s. And there's been a steady movement from that. And I can't tell you the number of TV shows. You look at the end credits, it says filmed in Canada. So they might hire some American actors, but everything below the line, the directors, the assistants, the sound people, the sound houses, the special effects, all of those have to be done by Canadians. And it's a problem. We've lost a lot of work in Hollywood because of it. So yeah, Trump saying that, I don't know if it'll work, but yeah, I'm for it.
And Alan, you know what else? You know what else I came to the conclusion of, which is that all of those reasons that they go elsewhere in order to film for like different aesthetics, basically, it's the reason we don't have large backlots anymore. It's the reason we don't have the construction people anymore to build these giant sets and things. We're doing less and less sets because we're bouncing around the world and saving money at the same time. If we can't save money by bouncing around the world, then we'll start building more sets and backlots back in the United States again, both in Georgia and California, potentially even places like Texas. And then we'll start having all of that below the line labor hired again. I can tell you right now that about 80% of the people that I know below the line in IATSE are struggling to find jobs right now. Georgia has about 2/3 less projects than they had 2 or 3 years ago. And even though we invested all that money into there, even Marvel, the last shit they filmed, they went to fucking England for it because England offered 35% and Georgia offers 20 or 25%.
Yeah, and let me explain what that means. That means if they spend $10 million, or if the budget is $10 million, and a country like Canada or someplace else is giving incentives, they will get $3.5 million back from the, I don't know what the correct term is, the federal Canadian government, and then the provinces have their own incentives as well. So it can be something like almost, 45% of a budget that a production company gets back. Now, if you're filming and you're going to say, well, instead of it costing me $10 million, it's only going to cost me $5 million. They can't resist that, and American companies can't compete with those kind of incentives.
Okay, thank you, Jesus. We're gonna move on. I wasn't calling Alan Jesus. I was just saying thank you, Jesus. All right, Cry Racial. You've been waiting patiently. I want to see what you have to say before I ask you to speak. Mike Moon, how did you get your hair and your beard to do that? Is that a real picture of a man?
That's a real picture of a man from actually 1918, and there was a brief period in the United States when that was a popular haircut.
What the fuck?
What did they call that?
I don't know what it was called, but it's in the pre-1920s, and there was actually multiple people that used to do their hair that way.
It doesn't have anything to do with the moon? I'm gonna look it up. All right, thank you. Cry Racial, what would you like to contribute to the conversation?
So how did he win? He didn't win shit. What are you talking about?
How did who win?
Your lover Trump.
I don't have a lover named Trump, but Trump won on a number of Trump has won. First off, Trump won on November 5th when he wiped. Excuse me, ma'am. Trump won on November 5th when he wiped the floor with one Kamala Harris. Oh, that's why he your president today, ma'am. Okay, so we're gonna talk about that. He won on election day, and he won on a number of issues since then. So we can first talk about the election. That's how he won. And did you want to dispute that?
He didn't win shit. The fuck?
So why is he your president today?
When men clean up
after I get released.
I'm sorry, Crown Ratio. Why is he your president then? Thank you. All right, we'll move on. Moving on to Abby. Abby, how would you like to contribute to the conversation?
Two things. First, to what Alan and
Hey,
Wayne were
Abby.
saying. Hey, guys. And I've talked to them about it before. My daughter's a filmmaker, too. And with respect to Hollywood, we're building in Nevada a huge studio right now and picking up. We just created tax incentives, state tax incentives. Her last films, one was filmed in Italy, one in South Africa. And the price for production was so substantially less. Also, she has a project in New Mexico and in Georgia. These are states that they're building facilities, or they have facilities. So I agree with these guys, and that's what's happened to the industry. What I think is, I'm also in a state where 1 in 5 people are taxed or tipped employees. 1 in 5 are tipped, and the no tax on tip that was his plan, which now has gone through Congress, hopefully will clear through both chambers of Congress and get signed. It is incredible incentive where I am, and a game changer for our economy, for people to have that extra income and not have the tax on their tipped wages. So that's a big issue where I am, and I want to say that's a win-win for him.
Thank you. I want to go around the room, starting with Anthony. I would like for you to name, since Trump has been in office, his biggest win and his biggest loss. Starting with Anthony, what would you put out there for Trump's biggest win as president since January 20th and his biggest loss in your perspective? Anthony?
Let's see. Trump's biggest win. Since he's entered office, I think that, honestly,
would you like me to come back? No, he got it.
Prime ratio, really? That's what we're going to do? Like, why do you do that?
Respect yourself, Prime Ratio.
What did she even say?
It's really sad. Nah, she called me Uncle Tom. Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Anyway, exactly. You know, I just came in the room, and here she comes, coming at me.
Yeah, Uncle Tom.
All she knows how to do is Prime Ratio.
Yeah, so, I'm not a fan of the bill, so I don't want to say that, this bill is his biggest accomplishment. What he's been doing in terms of, in terms of the illegal immigrants, I think, and if I had to point to one thing, it's the border crossings. The attempted border crossings are like all-time lows. So I'd say that was his biggest win. Biggest loss is the situation in Ukraine. I genuinely believed that he would have had this thing squared away.
Okay.
And
it's very not.
Can I give mine too?
Hold on, we're coming around. We're coming around the mountain. Thank you, Anthony. I think that's a very fair and good assessment. I'll go next to Abby. Abby, what would you say for his biggest win and biggest loss at this point?
So biggest win, I might also echo what he said with respect to the border and the amount of crossings on the border, and also what's personal to me is seizing the problem with anti-Semitism and going at these colleges and really trying to get them to control it. And he's just taken the bull by the horns in an incredible way, and with
so
a
you're
lot
coupling
of
that with the biggest one, with the border. You're coupling the border with his fight against anti-Semitism.
For me personally, I would put anti-Semitism first because it affects my life directly.
I see.
So I'm going to put that as a win. The biggest loss, that's an interesting one. It's probably also in some of the foreign policy. I don't think it's all gelled yet. I don't know if I'd say it's a loss, but I think on Ukraine that's probably within the foreign policy something that's just got to get harnessed more. And
other than what he mentioned, Anthony mentioned on the Ukraine, he thought he'd have it handled by now. Is there another thing on the foreign policy front that you can point to other than the
I think he's handling the Middle East well, with strength. and with conviction. So I'm comfortable with that. I gotta circle back around on the loss with me, because there's probably some other things that are concerning.
Okay, Congress, a vocal Trump, I don't want to call you a hater, but you oppose Trump. What would you say is his biggest win and his biggest loss through his presidency, Congress?
Biggest win, sir, there's none.
I'm sorry?
There's none.
There is none. Okay. And what is his biggest loss in your eyes?
So, come to think of it, and practically, and I know you would time me, you'd give me one opportunity, of course. See, at the end of it all, when we talk about America, America is not built around just Americans. I mean, it's a country.
I'm sorry, you're rambling again. I need you to be clear. What is the biggest loss?
His loss.
I need you to just be very succinct.
The fact that he is helping, terrorists, paying them, and helping them with technology.
Okay, so you're echoing what you mentioned the first time about Turkey and Pakistan. Okay, but wait a minute. When Abby and Anthony say that he's helped through his policies, his strength on the border, bringing illegal border crossings down over 90%, why don't you view that as a win? Before I move on to the next person, I need you to answer that quickly, please.
So real quick, for them, for a country, yes. When we look at US, of course, it's been a power through and through. But then what US and what Trump is doing is playing a dual policy. He's a freaking piece of shit who is to make sure that the war happens.
So I asked you a question. Why don't you view the border crossing reduction as a win?
I just answered it, sir. If he's helping Turkey, if he's helping Pakistan, and still saying that no, I'm with India and Modi is.
I can't follow you. I said, why don't you think it's a win that the border crossings have gone down? Why is that not a win to you? Yes or no? Or not yes or no, but tell me quickly why.
Am I living in States?
Okay, thank you. All right, so you're saying because you're not in America, that's not a win to you. Okay. Moving on to Mike Moon. What would you like to say Trump's biggest win is and his biggest loss?
First, I like this question a lot. I like this question a lot because it really challenges me to think about it.
Congress, your turn is over, Congress. I need to move on.
Hang on a second, sir. So, simply put through, you're living in a particular country, and so am I. Right?
Okay.
What's happening with your country is a different thing altogether.
Yeah, so Congress, so you should listen more and have less opinions about the United States because you're clearly saying that you can't have those opinions because you're not here. So let's just listen now, okay? You listen.
Thank you, Congress. Now we're moving on to Mike. Moving on to Mike Moon to tell me.
I like the question. It really challenged me to think. The biggest wins are DEI, attack on.
Give me one big win and one big loss.
One big win, attack on DEI.
I'm sorry, Congress. If you can't control yourself, I'm going to move you to the audience. Please go on mute. Go on mute, Congress. Congress, go on mute. Going once, going twice, going 3 times, moving to the audience. All right, go ahead, Mike.
The attack on DEI across the board, transgender issues, big business, DEI programs and departments, the laying off of DEI positions in general. I think DEI has been a tremendous win for him. I am not going to say the border has been a big win, and the reason why is that I'm not clear we even know the truth about the border. I think that there was a lot of deportations done before he was president as well, and I'm not convinced that we even fully know.
What about the border crossing?
Yeah, the border crossing is just because people are afraid of him. But that's not really any policy thing. That's just him being president already defaults by having way less border crossings. It was the same way in his first term.
So you don't give him the credit for that?
Yeah, I don't give him the credit for it because I think it's a nice I think it's a bonus that we get in having him a president. I don't think it has anything to do with his policy really. It has to do with more with what he says about the policy, about them in general. They're afraid of him. The biggest loss, hands down, no question about it, is his support of Putin and the Ukraine. He just said the other day, I thought I really knew Putin, but what's he doing? I'm like, wake up, motherfucker. We all know he's a fucking scumbag. So if he starts coming to that opinion, finally, he might know the real Putin. He is a scumbag. So the idea that he supported Putin and that Putin is now showing his true colors and that Trump is somehow surprised by that, and the fact that Trump said he would solve Ukraine in a day, and right now it's his biggest failure, hands down. I think he's doing a horrible job by siding with Putin and bashing Ukraine all the time. That said, I don't think we should give any more money to Ukraine.
Okay, thank you. I'll come back to that. Jarl, biggest win, biggest loss for Trump?
Yeah, I'm being generous calling it a win, but I think the fact that the rest of the world is building up their military could be an indirect win for Trump or for America or for the world. And I don't know, there's so many losses, I can't pick one. I think Ukraine is definitely, yeah.
Okay, Ukraine. Alan?
Well, people have echoed a lot of what I think are wins and losses, so I'll just say, yeah, I agree. His biggest loss is probably Ukraine and Russia in that he didn't solve it as quickly as he wanted. And his biggest win is Ukraine in that if we're not sending money to Ukraine the way we did, then I'm okay with that. Let Ukraine and Russia work it out, and let Europe work it out, and they can solve their own problems. So, they're...
Thank you. Dr. Responsible. Dr. Responsible going once. Dr. Responsible going twice. We'll be back. Cry Racial. Can you tell me what you believe Trump's biggest win and his biggest losses so far?
His biggest win was seeing that he could relate to black men. That mugshot scene. Yeah, he had the black experience. Yeah.
That's his biggest win?
Yeah, he said he's a criminal like y'all.
Okay. And what's his biggest loss so far?
Having sex with a porn star. Yeah, that's the biggest.
Okay. You are exposing your Trump derangement on full display. And we're moving on to Bill, I don't even know how to say your last Asian name. But Bill, are you within the sound of my voice?
I am here. Yeah, I would agree with Anthony and Abby. That was absolutely immigration as his biggest win. And the loss so far, I think, has been about great because he has been like a yo-yo up and down. He's been inconsistent on his messaging.
Inconsistent on what? On what front is he inconsistent?
The tariffs. So all good about bringing manufacturing back to the States. Absolutely correct. But just the gamesmanship on trade and tariffs has been inconsistent and has caused a lot of chaos, especially not even for big businesses, but for small businesses, which we all know employ most Americans in this country. So that's my input. Thanks.
Man, can I say one thing about that too? Yeah. The tariffs. So I did the research, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure I'm not wrong because I did do the research. Not many people can answer this question. The question is, what were the tariffs on China and U.S.? How did they compare to one another before? Like for the last basically, 15 years? And what are they now today, as of now, in this 90-day period initially? And I looked it up, and it's pretty shocking. And so it sounds like he's going all over with tariffs, and he is, by saying, 130, 145%. But what he did is he successfully scared the Chinese, right? And when he went back and settled with them for this 90-day period initially, and it might extend, hopefully it will, the before and after numbers, I wish that people talked about them, because I don't hear anybody talking about them, but it's a win. Before, it was 2019. We were getting 19%, they were getting 20%. Now, it's 10-30. We're getting 30%, they're getting 10%. So he literally flipped it around and cut ours in half and cut theirs by 2/3 and made us the leader in the equation. And those numbers, I'm not hearing anybody talk about it. They talk about the flip-flop, but that's his MO. He goes out there and he says something bombastic, huge, to freaking stir the pot, make it real extreme, And then he's hoping that they're going to back down and get scared, which China apparently did. And I think that's a win too, by the way. But I just want to say the numbers themselves, it's fair. He should be getting more credit for that. Thanks.
Any reaction from anyone? What he just said?
That's it's good to know those numbers. I didn't know that. Thank you. Also, it's nice to hear you laugh. Have a good one.
Moving on to a new voice on stage. Paul, are you approaching us from the right or the left? Paul, the left. You're approaching us from the right. Can you explain what you believe his biggest win is since he's been in office, and what you perceive to be his biggest loss?
Border, that I would say, plain black man, just bomb.
I love your accent. Very strong. Thank you. Moving on to Wesley. Wesley, are you within the sound of my voice?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Thank you, sir. Are you approaching us today from the right or the left of the political spectrum? Are you approaching us today from the
I'm
right
definitely right.
or the left of the
I've been a Trump fan since, when he was running against Hillary, when he and the MAGA hat were getting beat up.
Yeah. So
when
can you
everybody
explain
said,
to us? Explain to us what you think his best move has been since being in office and his worst move since being in office.
I'd say best move is I've never seen anything like it when he signed all those executive actions on live television, like day one. That was the best thing. That's how you make change happen. Worst. Well, I mean, nothing really comes to mind right off the top of my brain. Maybe I can get back to you. Let me rack my brain.
I need your critical thinking.
I suppose his dependence or his aversion to calling out Israeli influence in American politics.
That's a meaty issue that we can get to, especially with some of the people we have on stage. I'm sorry? Yeah, I'd like for you guys, maybe once we get through this round robin, maybe Abby and Wesley can engage on that a little bit. But moving on, thank you for your input, Wesley. Moving on to comedian, I want to get the last name if I can find it. Comedian comedy. Can you share with us, first off, if you're approaching us from the right or the left of the political spectrum, Mr. Comedian?
I would say I'm probably approaching the from the center right.
Thank you. So this should be quite easy for you. You call balls and strikes. What can you name as his best move or win, or worst move? I mean, and worst move and loss. I'd like
his best moves and his worst moves.
Yeah, just one of each. I don't need more than one of each.
I'd say his best move is not being hyper reactionary, meaning that there's so much communication every day generated by the media and him also, but his response has been, I think, great, meaning he hasn't been vitriolic. He has. I like this. I like the inauguration. I don't know about you, but I was.
You're saying in comparison to his first presidency, his response to
100%,
the media framing of things has been a lot more measured.
Oh yeah, he spent way too much time combating the media daily, insulting journalists, getting his feathers ruffled. Now he really seems, in my opinion, to be in his element, in his historic, frame and control. So I would say I'm just, really pleased with his demeanor as an American, and a voter. Very professional, very businesslike, very pragmatic, and he's not spamming us. He's.
So what about the other day, just to push back a little bit, the other day when he had the South African government in his Oval Office, he referred to, cannot remember his name, the NBC reporter as an idiot and a jerk. Called him an idiot twice and called him a jerk once. I'm just curious, how do you just said about it.
Yeah, I mean, the South Africans are doing drill music on their people. They're doing the same type of propaganda.
No, he wasn't talking to South Africa when he said that. He called an American, I remember his name now, Peter Alexander, an NBC reporter, Oval Office White House correspondent. He referred to a White House correspondent in the Oval Office with all the cameras rolling, a jerk, an idiot, and then an idiot again.
Good.
I'm asking, how do you integrate that in your framing that he's a lot more measured in his response with the media?
That's great. Let him be authentic and say what he feels and feels what he says. That's why we voted for him. And if he thinks that journalist
you said you don't want that brand of him to be out there.
Listen, I'm just saying that it's night and day compared to the first time around. I mean, he's controlling, he's controlling the communication now, which is a great thing.
Gotcha. So you're saying you're fine with him doing it, it just needs to be a lot less than it was in the first time.
Meaning he wasted so much of his energy communicating with the media. He needs to just give us the entree and, we don't need to read the menu anymore. We want the entree. We're ready for the filet mignon. I mean, give us Trump steaks is what I'm saying.
Got it. All right, so that's his best move. More measured approach. What is his worst move? What's his biggest loss? Comedian going once. I really want to hear.
I don't know. His biggest loss, I think, is probably not enacting the Doge cuts or fully supporting thrift and frugality and making that a major communication message to the American people. Because all these taxpayers, if you're driving an Uber and you're only making, $45,000 a year and you're paying taxes on that and you see how this money gets spent and this woke spending through the Doge exposure, you have to be pissed off. Because that we've been sold down a river. The devaluation of the dollar, the $40 trillion debt, the $100 billion a month in interest payments, and you see what they're spending the money on. And there's so much coming out with Doge with regards to even government money printing computers. I mean, these things sound ridiculous, but they're not. We know that they're wasting money and shipping it overseas for all types of waste, fraud, and abuse. So, as a taxpayer, as an American, I mean, this has to be the uniting issue, that this uniparty Democrat Republican bullshit, the spending and what they're spending it on is so egregious and so stupid. We should all be sick to our stomach that no senator, no congressman even exposed any of this shit prior to Elon Musk having the ability to actually technically even go in and do this type of auditing. So I'm complete.
Whoa. Comedian was still finishing his input, and then we can move on. He's almost there. Comedian, I know you're rounding the. Just I need you to land.
Yeah, I'm just saying that the X platform.
So his biggest win is his new and improved demeanor, and his biggest loss is the fact that he's not fully embracing a uniting issue, which is this being more thrifty in government spending. Is that
meaning that we're borrowing all this money when we should be cutting spending, lowering taxes, raising tariffs, and really just doing pragmatic things, eliminating government. The government is huge.
What do you say to people who say that cutting spending removes vital services for people who depend on it to survive?
Listen, I'm on the treadmill next to a doctor. He's talking about how to scam Medicaid Advantage. So these doctors aren't doctors. They don't provide medical services. Maybe a therapist is what a lot of people need, but I'm talking physical therapy. Going to the gym, reading books, eating right. Stop getting vaccinated with 2 vaccines and triple boosters and eating Pfizer for dinner. I mean, we all know that the COVID-19 and the vaccine.
I want to stop there. I want to stop there and get some more voices involved. But I do want to just say, excuse me.
Can I give my worst? I didn't do that.
You want to do what?
I gave you my best. I didn't give you my worst. Can I give you the loss or what I think?
Yeah, give me a quick. Before you give me a quick loss, I just want to say, is there anyone who's been, before Abby gives us her loss, was there anyone? I wish I had reached for a pen to write these things down because I'd like to review them after. Has anyone been keeping note? I'm just curious.
Yeah. Anyone? Can I do my thing?
Before you go, Hades, baby. Before you go, I'm just curious. Has anyone been writing down what they've been hearing so far? Yes or no?
Please, I'm not your secretary.
All right, cool. Thank you, Crowd Ratio. All right, nobody's done that, but I'm gonna.
Yeah, I didn't know there would be a test later.
Yeah, I like what I'm hearing so far. especially some of the things that comedians said. But anyways, Abby, before 80s Baby goes, because 80s Baby is dying to go, I'd like for Abby to finish her submission by providing to us what she's saying is Trump's biggest loss since he's taken office.
So I was thinking about this. I told you I needed a minute to put it together. So from a legal perspective, I don't like the fight on the birthright citizenship. I think it's a losing battle with the Supreme Court. I think constitutionally it's not a strong case, and I really wish he wouldn't put a lot of his emphasis on it. It's different than the immigration issues that he's dealing with in closing the border and deporting criminals. But I think that the birthright one probably loses in the high court with SCOTUS, and I just think it's probably not a good use of the energy. That's my loss.
I do want to push back a little bit on that. So why wouldn't you want to try to close a loophole where right now the status quo is that people are coming here with their status being questionable or illegal, and they marry a citizen or whatever they're doing? Why not try to force the courts or force the Supreme Court to clarify what they mean? What does birthright citizen truly mean? And let's clarify that. Even if he doesn't get everything that he wants, at least there'll be more clarity around the issue, because right now you have women who are coming here pregnant taking advantage of a loophole. So to the extent that it closes the loophole, why do you think that's wasted effort? And then we'll move on to 80s Baby.
I think it's wasted effort because you could end up, I don't know if you'll get clarity if they lose at the high court. You may end up with more floodgates on it. I just don't see the constitutional strength.
What do you mean we end up with more floodgates
on it? Well,
I think
that if the Supreme Court rules that in fact there is the birthright, then I don't know, floodgates is the wrong way to say that. I think that you don't close that loophole. I just think that there may be another way to approach it. I just think that going through the 14th Amendment argument and looking at
it's basically free, and so it's like, okay, well, how can you use that in the best sense for basically the hardest fields in the world, right? It's like, how can we speed this up? And sort of just like this reminds me of a paper Google released. Did you see Alpha Evolve, I think? Did you hear that?
No, it's gone. Yeah. By the way, Alda, did you watch the thing that I tagged you on in the group chat, the video, the Transformers thing?
I saw that, yeah.
Was that the sound of Elliot learning how to drive a manual?
No, that's the sound of me sitting inside of my car and it just beeping for no fucking reason, because it's like it's on and the door is open, right? It's like it's on, but not entirely on. It's like on before the engine on, because I have like one of those, those cars, the ones that you just like, you press the button, you don't even like to have to insert the key or anything, you just like press the button and it goes, and it's an automatic. So yeah, you have to like turn it on, leave it there. I like the aesthetic of like having a car where you have to physically keep the key inside of it. Like that was nice. I don't know about you, but there's like something about that I quite enjoy. Like an old little fucking like a manual what are those things called?
Ignition switch.
No. Fucking there's a company, the Toyota. There was not a Land Cruiser. It's the other one. It's the Hilux. Yeah, you have those little guys with a fucking manual turnable key and like the manual fucking transmission, manual everything, fully fucking almost entirely analog, save for the fact that you got like this thing that's at the center there with like where you put the disc in, but you can't put the disc in there, because if you do that, the disc is fucked and the internals are fucked, because it's a work machine, and which means that all the dust gets in there, so you're cooked by default. That's why they decided, hey, we're gonna have these little latches that we can like open up so we can put the disc inside of it. You have to like hold it as the disc goes in, and it's like, yes, nice. And then sometimes they moved away from that. They said, hey, we're just gonna like put the USB and Bluetooth, and there you go, you can be satisfied. And then you have the most retarded innovation of all kinds, which is you have this like physical thing that you put inside of the car, this like center screen thing, which then can connect to the internet. I'm like, why the fuck would I want my car having proprietary ass technology like this connect to the internet when I don't know its security? Like with Tesla, I can kind of understand that one does work you know? But like with this, no, fuck that shit, man. Absolutely fuck that shit. I don't want internet inside of my car, save for the phone, and that's bad enough. Oh, and you know what the latest thing is that people have done? They're starting to like get those batteries that have like these little electronic regulators on top of them, and it operates by Bluetooth. Who the fuck? Like, huh? Why? What? Oh, this is like the lack of intelligence that is required to like come up with. Like it escapes me. It physically it's like it hurts and disgusts.